back. Welcome back to the good, the mad, the ugly, everybody. I am your host, Spencer Bakuli. You might know me better as Mav, and I would like to welcome you back to another Friday, another show. Guys, I missed you last week. I know I was out. If you didn't know, last week, obviously, like I just said, there was no show last week. I was busy. I let you guys know that on Twitter. But for those concerned, I had a couple people reach out. Nothing bad. Bad happened last week. I just real life there were errands and people to pick up and all that sort of fun stuff. So I got a little schedule conflicting, or it got a little schedule conflicty earlier or last week. So that's what happened last week. But guys, I am so happy to be back here for the first show of the new year. Wow, we are only 12 days into the new year, and we already have so much stuff, like some good stuff, lots of crap. It's all raining down. 2024 is shaping up. Like, guys, let's be like, if I'm being honest, I feel like this is going to be a really rough year for everybody. Like, we've got the American election year, we've got all these Star Wars properties coming out, we've got all this stuff. Like, there's just so much stuff going on that I feel like everybody's about to get super insufferable for this year. So I guess in saying that, I guess at the top of the show, I just want to remind everybody, let's remember in this coming year, because it's gonna suck. I'm not even gonna try and sugarcoat it, but let's remember in the coming year to, highlight the things we like, let the people we love know that we love them, all that sort of positive stuff, because it's gonna get rough from here on out. And speaking of, we have a lot of that rough stuff to discuss tonight. Not necessarily in politics, because there's a million and four other people who can go you can go talk to about that, but more specifically in the world of entertainment, and the more specific world of entertainment that we all hang out in: comic books, video games, movies, TV, anime, all that fun stuff. There's just been so much tonight. So what am I trying to say? To that end, tonight's topics are, at least the main topics for tonight are, we're going to take a look at the Ultimate Spider-Man comic that just came out. That was absolutely incredible. Like, I am not kidding, guys. For all the segments you've seen before on this show where I've just ranted and raved about how awful Spider-Man comics are, this is going to be a complete whiplash, because this issue was really, really, really good. And then, of course, I also want to talk about just the burgeoning disaster that is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because that thing is shaping up to be just everything, like the representative for everything wrong with video games, right? And then, of course, or later on in the show, there was a new trailer released yesterday for the second season of Halo. I have not watched it yet, so I thought it would be a little, sort of a fun thing to watch it live with you guys, break it down, because I've talked about this before, maybe not on this show, but when it comes to me and the Halo series, like that, I love it so much. Like, or let me rephrase that. I loved it so much. When I was younger, I got into the series with Halo, like the first one. It blew me away. Just, I read all the books, I read all the comics, I played every single game. I was right there, watched all the animes, all the animated stuff, all the commercials that were like little bits of lore. Like, I was a huge Halo dork. And then Halo 4 came out and it went downhill. So all that to say, I am going to have a lot of strong thoughts on Halo. So if that's your jam, if you want to talk about the Master Chef with me, stick around. But before we get into any of that, of course, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. I know there are a lot of you in here right now. I saw that Joy was the first one here. I don't know if she's awake right now or watching, but hi, Joy, you were the first. Welcome to the first show of the new year. Then we have Tehillim saying shalom and good to see you. Tehillim, nice to see you, buddy. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. Zero is here, dude. Or how do you say it to me? Oh, hey, or like, how you doing? How you doing there, Zero? Just the way you say that, like, say hi to me when I pop onto your streams, it lights me up. It's very, like, sunshiny. So what's going on, Zero? I saw your tweet. Thank you for pausing your Final Fantasy 13 stream to come watch me tonight, because one, that means you can hang out with me for these next couple hours, but also that means I get to continue watching your journey with Lightning. And side note, guys, just because I've talked about this with Zero and now my brain is on it, when it comes to Final Fantasy 13, I think this is one of those games that it sort of has like an unfair reputation of sorts, if that makes any sense, because a lot of people, if you go ask them about Final Fantasy 13, you get the responses of, oh, it's long, it's tedious, it's boring, there's not a lot to do, everybody is stale, blah 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 blah. But I actually, I played them all forever ago when they first came out, and then, as I noted, Zero has been playing them over on his Twitch, twitch.tv/Zero_Dozer, and just going through them with him again, I kind of, remember that, like, the first 13 is a good game. Like, this is a good Final Fantasy. The monster designs are incredible. Like, I know Zero can vouch every time a cool monster appears on screen. I'm just like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see more of. I want to see good designs. But I think a lot of the reputation 13 got was, like, because 13-2 and Lightning Returns, that's where things start going, like, MCU off the rails, right? Like, everything starts power scaling. You start getting alternate timelines and chosen ones, and just, it gets really, really out there. And that's, and I say out there for Final Fantasy, right? Which is saying something, because obviously Final Fantasy goes wild, it goes places. You got your Bombets and your Meteors and all that stuff. But 13-2 and Returns just go really wild. So I feel like a lot of people retroactively apply that. All that to say, if you're interested in Final Fantasy 13, or you've even thought about picking it up, go play it. Like, it's a genuinely fun time. And plus, you get to hang out with my man Saz, who is like one of the best, what do you call him, party members of the entire series. Dude, he's got a chocobo in his fro. It's the coolest little accoutrement. Let's see. Spencer's face is dominating the screens. Big Spencer is watching that. Oh, dude, I need the like the gray color filter from that old Apple commercial, like the "You will obey" that kind of thing. Zero says one day he'll read the chat. Oh, volume is low, huh? That's odd. I don't know why the volume is low, but I will bump it because that is very odd. It shouldn't be low, but I can always do what I can to help you guys out. I think it's about time that I just get like a brand new like microphone setup, because I've been talking with you guys about the whole it doesn't work all the time. It sometimes shuts down on me, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it sounds better now, guys. I really hope you can hear me again. But yes, thank you guys for calling that out for me. Oh yes, Zero, that is another thing I wanted to talk about. Thank you for reminding me. We will be talking about the Capcom clusterfuck with their DRM. It is a huge hot button issue. We need to talk about it. It is very bad. Thank you, Zero. That was the other, when I was going through my list of stories, I was like, I know there's something here that I'm forgetting, and I can't remember what. So thank you for reminding me. We will be talking about the Capcom stuff. Let's see. Dante says, I don't vote or give a shit about Star Wars anymore. I'm straight, yo. Dude, that's the thing. So I said this on the like very first show, maybe the second show I ever did of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly. But on this show, while it is a place for us to all discuss the news and all the things we love in a more like in-depth manner, I genuinely don't ever want to talk about Star Wars because I just don't care anymore. Like it's all bad. After Last Jedi, after Rise of Skywalker, I just tapped out. I said, all right, that's what they're going to do. I don't care anymore. Like it's even hard for me to get angry about anything, because it's just like, well, there they go again. Okay. Like the big announcements this week were, pardon me, we're getting a second season of Ahsoka apparently, and Dave Filoni's Mandalorian verse movie, whatever you want to call it, the one from him and Jon Favreau, finally got a name of The Mandalorian and Grogu. And of course, like with every announcement, discourse arose. You had some people who were optimistic. They want to see more Mando. They want to see more Grogu. Fine, whatever. Then you have people who are more critical, like in the spheres we run in, where they're just like, no, this is stupid. I can't believe you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. But I was just in the middle going, this is sad. Like, I don't care. I just don't care about Star Wars. If you want to like go, I'm releasing it, right? I've done, I mean, not now. Obviously I did it. I've been in this state, but like I've released you. I don't care anymore. So yeah, like all that to that end, Dante, we're not going to talk about Star Wars here, because who cares? Everything has been said. Nothing is new. If I ever, find the time, like I've been meaning to go through all the old EU games and comic books and stuff like that, we'll definitely talk about stuff like that. But we're never going to talk about, I'm never going to have an episode. You will never see a thumbnail where the main topic, right, is, Daisy Ridley or Kylo Ren or any of that stuff. Even though I like Kylo Ren, it's just, I don't care about Star Wars anymore. Let's see. Dante says he only played the first Halo. That's okay. That was a great one. But You're buckle up for rage then, because I'm gonna get into it. Like this is a lot of the topics that we're gonna talk about tonight, specifically Spider-Man, Capcom, uh, video games with Suicide Squad, and Halo. Like these are like my some of my main areas, right? So we're gonna get in. We're gonna deep dive tonight. Let's see. Shinkai. First of all, Shinkai, what's going on, buddy? He says Final Fantasy 13. Never knew it was hated when first played it. My thoughts were cool. Cool snow and love lightning and Fang. Dude, Fang is the best. Fang is an absolute waifu. I get mad every time Zero pulls her out of the party. So I'm right there with you, Shinkai. But yeah, no, it has a reputation nowadays of being sort of a like, we're still doing this sort of thing. And again, I think it's because the second two games are very long and tedious and they go out there. But also, that was the Final Fantasy we were sort of stuck with for the good part of like, I don't know, like 2 decades, I would almost say, or like a decade. You know, though that was what Square was focused on. So every time something came out, it was, oh, are we getting a 14? Nope, we're getting a 13. Oh, are we getting a remake of anything? Oh, nope, we're getting another 13 game. So I think it was a lot of that, which is why I recommend to anybody who cares to go back and try it out, play through it, because there's a lot to offer there. It is a really good, that first game is very solid. I just saw Timon. Nice to see you, buddy. I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen you, Timon. I saw your video earlier today that you tagged me in. I think I liked it. If not, I meant to. But also remind me, Timon, because I meant to ask you this on Twitter. I thought you tagged me in something like a week ago, but I can't find it, and I wanted to like respond to it today. So it was like a video of something Toku. I think you were comparing it. You shared it with like me and somebody else. I can't remember. Maybe you do. But all that to say, nice to see you, buddy. Just going on a little rant there. Yeah, there's Zero saying, it's kind of funny. Final Fantasy 13 was hated by everyone, yet it managed to still feel like a Final Fantasy game. 15 and 16 feel like a loss of identity. And I think you are really on point with that analysis, but I think it's like the only pushback I would give is that I don't think it was like everyone hated it because it didn't feel like Final Fantasy. I think everyone just hates it because they got tired of it. Because like we were saying, I do think Final Fantasy 13 does feel very Final Fantasy-y. And yeah, I'm kind of with you. 15 and 16, not really Final Fantasy to me. Like, I will say 15, it feels a little bit more like it. You know, it's a little more fantastical. The setting, at least, right? You know, with Noctis and everybody, that feels more Final Fantasy than like Clive and all that stuff. But it's the action combat. That's just not Final Fantasy. I think you can do a good in-between if you go the Final Fantasy VII Remake route, right? Where it's like an ATB hybrid system. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I will admit it is rough. As much as I do like it, I know it is a rough system. So maybe tweak it up a little, you know, fine-tune it, and we can have something perfect there. But I definitely agree that these over... or there's 2 issues. Like, the one issue that applies to both games is the move away from like RPG-ness, from the turn-based battle type thing. I think that's an important core of that identity. Not that you can't play around with it, but I think that we need to sort of focus there. The second, and this applies more to just 16 in particular, is the fact that it just goes all Game of Thrones-y on you. It follows in all of the same Western writing tropes that we have been subjected to for years now. And while that might seem novel over in Japan, right? Because I can imagine that in Japan you get, you know, your dubbed version or your subbed version of Game of Thrones. You're like, oh, this is incredible. The storytelling is so unique. I've never seen it. And then but Americans go, what are you talking about? This is everywhere. Like, this is everything. Kind of like when we read a really good shonen series, right? You know, oh, Chainsaw Man is so cool. Like, I wish there were more series like this. Like, what the heck? Like, we need more of this. This is so revolutionary. And then you go over to Japan and people go, it's good, but it's just another shonen series. Like, we've got a lot of those. I think there's some element of that. Yeah, everybody's saying hi, saying the audio's low. Again, let me know if it's better. I think it's better. My levels look better, but who knows at this point? Yeah, Shinkai says, also love Chocobo in the fro. It's one of the best, like, little details in the entire like 13 mythos. I don't know. I love Saz and his hair chocobo. Um, Zero says your voice often starts with low volume. The intro's volume was fine. See, all right. I gotta like pop the hood and get under here and just fix literally everything. So, let's see. Dante says, give me the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and Clone Wars, all the Star Wars I need. I would extend it to things like, you know, I want animated Clone Wars, like the Gennady one. There's some video games I really like. There's some comics and books I really like. Basically, just bring back the old, like make Legends canon again, right? Like, that's literally all I want to see. Because people actually cared when they were creating those things. And it wasn't just, oh, everybody likes Star Wars, we'll milk Star Wars. Dante says, I'm playing Doom 2016 on PC. That game rules. Yeah, the game is really, really good. I have yet to play Eternal, which I also heard is good, but the movement system, the gameplay in those, they're just on point. Let's see. Shinkai says, Capcom also did the unforgivable by massacring Hot Mama Yor from Spy Family and Street Fighter 6. Yes, they did. I'll remind me about that when we get to the Capcom topic, Shinkai, because I want to pull up that picture because it's also relevant to the whole story. But that collab, like that preview of Yor and Chun-Li fighting, it's so awesome. And then the actual product is just really bad because it's just like, what do you call them? Me costumes or whatever from Smash Brothers. So it's really bad. Capcom is following in the worst trends of the Western gaming world, right? And what are those trends? Don't worry, we'll get into that when we get to Suicide Squad. Let's see. Timon says, never was a big Star Wars fan. I liked it. Now I don't give a fuck. That's essentially it, right? Like, I personally, like, when I was growing up, I was a giant Star Wars kid, right? I was of the old school classification of nerd where I liked things that got you made fun of, that weren't really popular, that you really had to get into before it became a fashion statement. So I loved that original trilogy. I watched it all the time, just ran through those tapes, collected everything, got the toys, got the merch, went to go see episode 1 like midnight, staying up past my 10-year-old bedtime. It was so incredible. I loved it. And then it's just been annihilated. Right? I don't need to expand on it. We all know what I'm talking about. But the second Disney got their hands on it, I don't remember the last time I genuinely saw something out of Star Wars where I went, I genuinely think this is cool. I liked seeing Hayden Christensen back because I just like seeing Hayden. I think he deserves a little more credit for his time, you know, all that sort of stuff. But there was never anything where I was like, Star Wars is cool again. I want that toy again. I want more of this. Just absolutely nothing. Oh, Kylo Ren. Oh, I take that back. I like the entirety of everything Kylo Ren. Everything else sucks. Giant donkey balls. Final Fantasy 13 nailed a next-gen version of the ATB system impressively well. Yeah, that, and then Shinkai says it has a sweet OST. Agree to both points, and I think, Zero, you hit the nail on the head there. That version, the 13 version of the ATB system is a very, I would almost call it a prototype version, right, of what we eventually get in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you can run around the field, you're actively choosing what to do, but it's not like hit button is automatically going to do, you know what I mean? Like, it's not Devil May Cry. I made the worst comparison there, but I think everybody knows what I mean. And then, yeah, Zero says, the amount of cussing and sex talk in Final Fantasy 16, and people got mad when I said it looked like Game of Thrones. So I have to be honest, anybody who gets mad at somebody saying this is Game of Thrones Final Fantasy is being an idiot. Like, on purpose almost, like intentionally disingenuous, because not only had the director, I forget his name, or Yoshi P, specifically cite like Game of Thrones as an inspiration, but that is what it is. Like, it's very clearly taking after that really dark, heavy medieval fantasy. And you have to consider that these things aren't, like, video games these days don't get made in a year like they used to in the good old PlayStation 2 era. Now, because the fucking video game industry is out of its fucking mind, we have games that take 40 like 10 years to develop, millions of dollars. And so if you commit to something, you've got to commit to it. Like it's something I'm going to bring up with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but like that game's been in development since 2009, 10, 11, like very long time. Back when all of these trends were, maybe, live service or always online multiplayer, when those things were new and novel and people were open to them. But now we are 10 years out from that, 12 years out from that, and everybody's gone past that, but they've committed to this. They have to go with this now. They're screwed. Same thing with Final Fantasy 16. A lot of people went, oh, it's 2022, 2023. Nobody's looking at Game of Thrones anymore. But this game was in development, like, probably like right before season 8 dropped. Like, this was probably peak Game of Thrones. Yoshi P went, let's do this. And so once you get 2 or 3 years down the line in your big Final Fantasy game, you can't really go, oh, dude, we got to scrap everything. So it is Game of Thrones Final Fantasy, and it suffers for it. It needs more whimsy. It needs more color, dude. Like, just, it doesn't need to look like Gears of War. That's my biggest takeaway from it. Let's see. Yeah, here's Timon is one of the on the critical sides. Like, 13 was boring, stupid story, and no exploration and real side quests. I will agree that it does get a little more linear than I would normally like in a Final Fantasy game, and that does get way worse once you get into 2 and Lightning Returns. But I still enjoy it, and maybe, I could be just giving it a better retroactive review because of how much crap we've gotten in the meantime, right? If everything looks like crap, the least crappy piece of crap is going to look like gold or what. Like, I probably butchered that saying, but you guys know what I mean. So maybe that's it, but I am of the opinion that 13, like the first 13, doesn't deserve the actual amount of hate it gets. A lot of people who rag on it, and I'm not saying this is you, Timon. No, I'm not saying this is you at all. I'm saying, like, a lot of the people on Twitter or social media or whatever, a lot of the people who defend it haven't really played it. They just watched, a lot of recap videos, or it was the one that was around when they were kids. Let's see. Dante says, I was a freshman when episode 1 came out. Dude, that's the thing. I don't, like, I am a youngin in our circles, right? Like, I was born in 1990. I'm 33 years old. So, right? 33. So I'm a baby. I was right. I was the peak age for Pokemon when it came out. I was a kid when episode 1 came out. I was a kid when episode 2 came out. And even as a kid, I knew that movie sucked. I could not stand that movie. I detest that movie. Like, it is so, okay, maybe detest is a little far, but it is just so boring. Like, I cannot stand episode 2. Timon says FF needs to go back to 9. Then Zero says 9 was bad. It needs to go back to 5 or 6. So I actually am with Timon on this one. I personally really love 9. It's a really solid system. There's a lot of cool secrets in there. It's got one of my favorite sort of like Easter eggs, which is like you have to do a very specific set of things, and then it in like Act 1 of the game, and then in Act 3, if you did them all right, it like a treasure chest will appear that has like your ultimate weapon. It's something like that. I gotta look it up because now I'm looking a fool. FF9 secret, right? Okay, now I'm getting back too many generic results. So maybe I'll post about it on Twitter when I'm off the show. But I do really like 9. On the topic of 9 though, I'm going to give a weird caveat because of something I just learned this week. So as we all know, if you tuned into the last show before the new year, if you've been reading Bounding into Comics for any amount of time since I've been there, you will know that, there's the big issue with localizers and all of that sort of fun stuff, where when a Western, or not Western, but specifically like American or British English speaking localizer gets their hands on a Japanese product, they tend to overwrite it, just run roughshod over it, just absolutely butcher everything. So as that discourse has been raging in the past couple weeks, thanks to just Jamie Marcy's bullcrap to Asmongold putting more eyes on it. In light of all of that raging, people have been going back and looking at old localizations, all that sort of old stuff. And sorry, very thirsty. But one of the things, at least I learned, or people brought up, and then I learned, is that our like the American, maybe European localization of Final Fantasy IX is completely butchered from the original script. Like, we all know how, Japanese media works, where you have like overarching themes that get repeated a lot, sort of, to pull a Final Fantasy example, Cloud, his whole thing is like, am I a real person? What is my identity? And a lot of the things he goes through in that game, or the conversations he has, touches upon that. In Final Fantasy IX, as I just learned, the Japanese sort of theme is like, what does it mean to help people? What does it mean to need help, to want to give help? What does that mean to sort of like exist in an existence where you have to rely on other people, or you should, or whatever, right? That's the big debate Zidane has to go through. And it's all gone. All of that theme, every reference to him battling over that internal question is just cut out. And it's just, it's not necessarily as egregious as what we're seeing lately, where people are injecting just straight up Zoomer memes and political screeching into it. Like, the Final Fantasy IX localization we got is fine, like it works, but just knowing we are not, like, are we even getting these like the same games the rest of the world is? I don't know. It feels like we're getting entirely different versions, and I don't want that. I want to know what the original author intended. I don't give a shit about what Becky McChucklefuck says in California, right? I don't care if it grounds up against her sensibilities, or she thinks it's too Japanesey. I'm engaging with it because I want to see that author's vision, not yours. And I'm getting more and more sick of it. And now, having learned that they destroyed Final Fantasy IX like that, it really gets to me. Tehillim says, hopefully all are well, should be home soon and able to chat more. Hey, so far it seems like we're all doing good here. Drive safe. We'll see you when you get here if you show back up. If not, don't worry about it. But yeah, thanks. We'll see you soon, dude. Don't be safe. Timon says, I also like 8 a lot. That sound. He said 13. The gods are making us fight. We don't want to. Then later on, we're fighting because we want to, doing what the evil gods wanted all along. It gets rough, but I feel like that applies more to 2 and Returns than it does to 1, and that's sort of my point. Like, I feel like a lot of that hate goes retroactive. I have to admit, I like 8, but I don't remember 8 a lot. Like, that was the one I played, and then I just never like engaged with it as deep as I did 7 and 9. I need to go back and do that, but again, I just need time. I have no time, damn it. So all that to say, Final Fantasy has lost its way. It needs to come back. I don't know how that's going to happen in the modern era. It needs to stop chasing trends, because when you chase video game development trends, you end up with our first topic of the night. So, my friends, who has seen... Oh my gosh. Everything is screwing up for me. Bum bum. You end up with this. Welcome to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Alright, so, in case you guys hadn't seen the news this week, earlier in the week, Rocksteady Games, the developers of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, held a preview event where they invited members of the press to come in and play their build, or the current build of the game. It went disastrously. Like, we are talking the video game press. We are talking IGN, Eurogamer, GameSpot, every single outlet. They panned it. They went, this sucks. Even the reviews that were super positive, that said, I liked the gameplay, I wanted to like it, even they had to, admit that this game is missing, like, it's just not there. And so what I'm about to hit play on and what we'll watch as we discuss and all that fun stuff is this is official gameplay PR footage provided by Warner Brothers and Rocksteady to players, and I believe this video specifically comes from IGN. So this is IGN using Warner Brothers footage, and it's so bad, guys. Like this is where video games, like this is the, what am I trying to say here? It's the prime it's the microcosm of literally everything wrong with video games today. So obviously you have the player there, King Shark, and you have to traverse around and kill your enemies. But as you're seeing this gameplay, I'm sure just I see Zero noted it down there, but what the actual fuck is going on with this HUD? Like, this is a HUD, the heads up display. This is the stuff that people make fun of. Like, I've made fun of this. You guys have heard me rant about menus and currencies and all this crap for ages, right? Like, let's just pause here and look at everything that's going on in just this one screenshot, right? So, does my cursor show up? Good, it does. All right, starting in the top left corner, you've got a very tiny health bar and a very tiny shield bar, which take up so little of the screen that it almost makes me feel like they were added as an afterthought, like, or not even as an afterthought rather. But what am I trying to say? It's insane to me that such an integral part of quote unquote gameplay, which is your health bar, is displayed in such a small, out of the way manner. If that in design communicates to me that it's not important, and then that if my health isn't important, that communicates to me that this game is going to be really stupid and really easy, right? So we've got that. We've got an XP bar underneath that counts up the numbers as you gain XP. There's an icon right next to it, which I'm presuming is probably like level up, like, oh, you've got a new gear point to spend. Let's go there. Then over here, you've got 48 meters away, you've got your mission marker. Then you've got this plant corruption meter, which I presume is the health bar for that main tower that King Shark was fighting. Then you've got your objective up here. Then you've got a plant growth progress. Like, what am I trying to, what is that? Like a mission meter, your progress meter. Then you've got your ABC checkpoint checklist. Then you've got your challenge checklist. Then you've got your stupid, like, communication from Poison Ivy because she's talking to you, so they got to have a visual for her communication. You've got your mini map. You've got 4 icons indicating what your D-pad does in terms of, relaying messages in multiplayer, good, bad, stop, meet up. That you've got the effect of your current weapon as represented by this ice shard here. You've got the fact that your main attack, like your special move, is ready for in case you forgot. Then you've got, obviously, you've got your standard, ammo, guns, section, I don't know what you want to call it, meters. Then we've got 2 more, it looks like buff meters. It says probably like, oh, King Shark is currently taking less than 10%, crap like that. And then a combo meter. That's what this is right here. Like, oh, you've hit them. Well, it's only at 1 for him now, but it'll go up. But then aside from just the HUD, look at the mess you've got going on. You've got these 2 commands here telling you what to do at every step of the way. You've got numbers that just keep shooting out. You've got shards that have to be collected everywhere. You've got damage numbers like building up over people's heads. It's just, none of this looks fun. Here we just transitioned to, I thought this part was even worse, where, it's all the same sort of boring. This is literally what I would imagine if I thought Evil Conglomerate wants to make a video game for nothing more than to suck money out of people. It would literally be what we're looking at here. There's no depth to it. There's no excitement to it. I've talked about it before, but even though there's 4 different characters, all of them essentially play the same. I mean, like, look at this footage. Why is King Shark, a living shark who, as we see in his special move, can control water and stuff, why is he using a gun? That's so boring. That's so stupid. And guess who else uses a gun? Deadshot and Boomerang and Harley. Like, it's uninspired. It's not one of those what am I? So the best example that's popping off the top of my head is Overwatch, right? In Overwatch, you have different roles, you have different heroes that actually do different things. Tracer is super fast and can get around the map, where Mercy can heal you, and I don't know, Diva can, tank and block and rush and, serve as a wall for you to hold behind while you push towards your objective. Here, all of them are essentially the same. They have very minimal different moves, but or like it kind of like they have different moves, but it essentially just boils down to different animations. And like, look at this super boring, like, what is it asking you to do? Just go to your map marker over here, go stand in front of this mission marker for 9 minutes while the meter builds up. And pardon me, it's just so it's like, obviously you guys can probably tell from the fact that I'm like at a loss for words. It's just so, it's so bad. It's so bad, and it's so emblematic of just where exactly we are with video game development. Going back to what I was saying before, where video games don't take, back in the day, it would take 2 years, right? Maybe to get a sequel to your favorite video game. Maybe you would get, 3. I know Kingdom Hearts 2 took 4 or something like that, right? Like, that was a lot. That was a long time. But in doing so, people could play with new trends. They could see what sticks. And then if something didn't work, or the industry had moved on, so could the developer. It would still hurt because all that work is gone, but at least they wouldn't be where like Rocksteady is now. But now, with development budgets and everything, just with it being an entertainment industry akin to Hollywood now, everything has gotten bloated, and we're left. Everything you see like that comes out, what you're getting, it's kind of like with technology, right? Like when we get an iPhone, that whatever the government and military has is already like 40 years ahead of us. This is just what is available for us now. That's sort of like where we are in video games. Like, we know what's coming. Like, this is what's really bad, but this is all they have to offer us now. And it's so disheartening. Let's see what some of you guys have to say before I get back into my next point about this awful, terrible game. And also, like, look, there's more shit as I go to this screen. There's more, like, over here, you have, it counts out which enemies qualify for your combo meter. Over here, where did I just saw the, like, Trooper, critical hit kill, 89 experience points. And then you also have the experience point counter over here, and then there's one over here in the top right counter, like, corner, and then of course you've got all the popping up numbers again. Like, it's so exhausting. Like, I look at this stuff, and tying back to what we were saying about Star Wars, like, I look at something like this and I just get exhausted and go, all right, like, sure. Like, this is obviously there's nothing we can do to stop him from doing it, so all I can really do is sit back and go, all right. Because, like, to put a cherry on top of the fact that, or what am I trying to say here? To add insult to injury with this preview that we're looking at, right? So this preview event happened Monday-ish, Tuesday maybe. Journalists didn't like it. They all said, this sucks. It needs, like, they're missing the mark. There's nothing Rocksteady can do about it, because this game is due out in less than a month. I believe I think it's a month today is the release date. So everything you are seeing now, all the previews from both the press and regular players, which, if I don't know if you guys saw this today, but in light of all the bad press they've been getting, Rocksteady lifted the NDA for their open beta and alpha players, and, hoping, if they can talk, maybe they'll give us some positive PR. Nope. Everybody is hating it. It's really bad. Yeah, Zero. All right, Zero kicks it off saying, "Oh boy, my eyes hurt from looking at such like an HD a HUD clutter," and that's what I'm saying, right? I know Josh knows this, and I see him in the chat, and I'll get to you in a minute, buddy. But like, when I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, that was the first movie ever that I had to stop and just go, this is too noisy. Like, there's just too much CGI crap, too much nothing, like too much for too much style, so little substance, and it's all just noise and mess. And it was just, I had that feeling at the very end of Aquaman, like the first one, when they started doing the war, like the underwater war. But thankfully that scene ends. Justice League starts, Zack Snyder's Justice League starts there and keeps it up for the 4 hours. But this feels like that to me. It's just visual noise. I'm not taking in anything. I don't even know where I'm supposed to particularly go. I don't know. Nothing here looks fun. Nothing about this HUD appeals to me, right? And I know I saved it just for this discussion. There is this really old meme. This meme from was made by 4chan in like 2008, when we were starting to see the advent of these AAA games with, like Ubisoft open worlds and EA stuff. They made this meme to make fun of all of the shit. And literally everything that's in this thing, like in this meme, pretty much exists in that game, right? Like you've got your mini maps over here, you've got your achievement unlocked, you've got the thing indicating a character's talking to you, you've got all these different meters, you've got your objective up there, you've got your time remaining, you've got your don't forget to do this, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do this, oh, don't forget to push this button to do this thing, oh, here's your meter, and it's just like, this isn't fun. This isn't good design. This doesn't make me, when you present something like this feels cheap. It feels like you didn't, because again, right, guys, video games to a certain extent, this is going to be a slight tangent, but bear with me because I think it's going to be relevant. So for a long time, there's that ongoing debate about whether video games are art. Are they like paintings? Are they like movies? Blah, blah, blah. And when, in my personal opinion, I say they are not. But hear me out, because it gets a little in the weeds here. So I don't think video games are art per se, because that video game almost always is, made specifically for a profit. It is a product that you are supposed to purchase, to use, and all that sort of fun stuff. Now, that to me makes it not art. But everything that goes into the creation of a video game, the coding, the artwork, the writing, the designing, all of that stuff, that's art. That's, the human component of it. So to bring it back to what we were saying, what this does sort of easily signals at the top of your monkey brain that this is a cheap product, because there's clearly there's no artistry in it. It is literally, here's everything, go, right? And we're not here, this is an RPG maker. We're not here to build your own adventure, shooter, FPS, whatever. You're supposed to be taking us on a journey. You're supposed to be in, immersing us in your world, and this doesn't do it. One of the best HUDs I ever remember, and let me see if I can grab a picture without it looking all disruptive to us. But let's see. I almost said what I was going to say out loud, and then it would have ruined it for everybody. Because, yes. All right. I'm not even a particularly huge fan of this game, but this is like, we've lost this sense of design when it comes to video games and HUDs, right? Look at this. This communicates everything I need to know about Isaac in Dead Space. I see where I'm aiming. I see how many bullets I have left. I see how much health I have left. And I see how much meter I have left in my special ability, which is his stasis pod, the thing that he can telekinetic people with, if you've played the game. But that's it. It's so simple and it's so stylish. It's integrated into the game. When you play Dead Space, you forget that there are all these things to worry about and to keep track of, because it's so naturally in your face. With Justice League, if we go back to that, right? Weren't we looking at the trailer? Oh, I replaced the trailer with the image. I'm stupid. But then, yeah, we get back here to kill the Justice League. Everything is noisy. And look, guys, I'm finding even more markers when every screen we pause on, I'm finding more stupid markers. Now, this one, now we have push R2 to shield harvest, whatever that. I guess that's a thing you can do on the enemy because the enemy's got the R2 icon above him with a like accuracy reticle. But then like look at the enemy itself. Aside from those, like he's got this battery shield indicator icon above his head, and then he's got the Arkham counter flare signal. I don't know what you want to call it, but remember in the Arkham games, if Batman was about to get hit, he would sort of, or if an enemy was about to hit Batman, they would like flash their fist, and then that's how you know to dodge. Like that's what that is. It's just why? Like it's so. What? Back to my point of artistry. It's like you see this. It doesn't feel like a human put any effort in. It feels like they went, oh, make a video game that people will pay money for, and all this goes into a video game. Cool. You know, it's a lot of the blinking lights, like woohoo, hoo, 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 but for nothing. Unless you are the die-hardiest of freemium like addicts, like whales, this isn't going to do anything for you. Okay, and now before I keep going on this rant, I know the chat's going, so I want to address the chat real quick. Yeah, so Josh, this is what I was saying with Josh. Josh says, when you realize Suicide Squad was a euphemism for Rocksteady. Dude, it's insane. Because this is another point I meant to bring up earlier, which is, like, yeah, this is your follow-up to Arkham, right? We know that they did those Arkham games pretty damn good. City is one of the best video games ever made, and especially in terms of superhero video games. Everybody's expecting their big kickoff. Like, I know that the thing a lot of people wanted in the aftermath of Night was let Rocksteady take on Superman. That'll be awesome. But because of what I was talking about with the long-ass development cycles and the super need for all of these studios to do their stupid-ass synergy, Warner Brothers goes, hey, instead of like Superman or Batman, we got the Suicide Squad movie coming out. Do you want to do a game about that? And keep in mind, folks, that's Suicide Squad 1 when this game went into development. Not the Suicide Squad, the one that was reasonably accepted by viewers. No, this is the hot topic, like employee, like lounge Suicide Squad. The absolutely what I consider to be the worst film of all time. And that opinion doesn't come from, you know, the plot and the acting and all that stuff, the effects, it's all fine. Right? I have seen worse acted films, I've seen worse looking films, I've seen worse written films. But as an entire thing, and like as a film, and as something that you can see just like, or what am I trying to say? As a whole, Suicide Squad is not a film, but rather just a perfect shining. If this Suicide Squad is a perfect museum encapsulation of everything wrong with video games right now, Suicide Squad 2016, that one was, right? That was 2016 or around there-ish, 2012, whatever. But that was a microcosm of everything that goes wrong in the movie industry. You know, gotta get your superheroes, gotta get your gotta have them all played by big name celebrities, gotta have your licensed soundtrack, gotta have your LOL so quirky title card jokes, gotta have your, oh, the villains are actually the good guys things, oh, you've gotta have your everybody gets redeemed like moment things, oh, we've gotta, you know, set up all of our cinematic universes type, like it's such a bad fit, like it's so bad. The worst product I've ever seen. I don't even know what to say about it. Someday I might talk more about Suicide Squad, but that movie is just so genuinely dog shit. Let's see. Oh great. Oh, Josh was saying, oh great, the jumps still have no weight for to them. Just include a stomp sound, don't animate it. That there is no weight to this, Josh. That's the thing. It's all reskins of the same animations. That's why everybody feels so similar. King Shark lands with the same weight that 130-pound Harley Quinn lands with. That, you know, 200-pound Deadshot lands with. It's lazy because they're too focused on make everything equal so that the multiplayer experience that everybody is going to engage with doesn't automatically run everybody out of town by being lopsided. Oh shit. My buddy Nils dropping in saying, where's the Batman meter? Oh, buddy. buddy, hold on to that because we will get into Suicide Squad and the Batman meter in just a second. Um, and right, Josh, that's actually what I was saying. So Josh says back in my day, we'd get Mega Man games on a yearly basis. So that's actually what I was thinking of. Not so much the original classic entries, but the battle networks, right? Like those we were getting one every 2 years, just on beat, just doom, 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 doom. And again, like I said, when you have that quick of a schedule, you can play with more things and you can find more things that might work with your franchise or your series and take things in a different direction. But you don't get that freedom when you have to commit to, oh, we're going to invest $5 billion in this. We need it to make at least 40 billion back for a profit. We can't go too wacky with it. Zero says, like, the game fucking lags. This is a game that is releasing at the end of this month. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no polish here. There's just... It feels like a mobile game. This feels like the flashiest trailer for every terrible mobile game that your niece play or wants to play on your phone at every family gathering. It's just noise. Isn't this an exciting mission, guys? You shoot a bunch of people... and then you get data shards, and then you collect them, and you bring it back to the truck. Like, I don't... This doesn't even make sense for the Suicide Squad. This... What I'm trying to say, like, where I was getting at, why I got caught, like, frozen there for a minute, is that not only is this just not, like, a Suicide Squad thing, but this isn't really a good... video game mission in general anyway. Like, these sort of missions suck complete ass, where the ones where I'm okay with some tower defense, right? Like, oh, there are swarms coming, protect this person while they, hack into the computer. Those are fine, those are fun, those can work. But these ones where it's like, kill this and get 10 shards and bring them back to the bus, like, it's just artificial lengthening of your gameplay experience. You're not doing anything. You have to run over, run back, run over, run back, run over, run back. Congrats, you're done. Now go do the next mission, right? And see, oh boy, you deposited a shard. And there's still like 500 other tokens that are like popping up over people when they explode. You've got those shield tokens. I saw those skulls. Like, when we started this clip, I thought those skulls were the data shards. And then I saw the actual like data chips. Like, what is happening here? It's so genuine garbage. And like, I just want to make a note of this because it kind of applies to the HUD discussion, but it does it. Look, like the setting and the graphics here, I'm not going to lie, they look pretty good. It's Rocksteady. I'm not surprised. But as cool as this concept of seeing a destroyed metropolis with brainiac tentacles running through it everywhere and just wanton destruction is, that HUD covers up 800% of it, right? I remember playing Arkham, and one of the coolest things you could do was go to the top of a point, look at where you're going next, open up your map, pick where you're going. You see the marker over there. It's only that marker. You see the entire skyline of Gotham, and you can get over there however you want, and you go. Here, I just see it, and I go, I might as well just take the straightest path forward because I just need to get here. There's no reason for me to explore the city. They don't care about the IP or the story around it. They just care about me getting to the next gameplay point, so I might as well just go to the next gameplay point. First of all, Jorge Burgos, my boy Trillion Billion, stopping by, saying, yeah, I couldn't have told you what game this was without the title, right? Like, is this Far Cry? Is this Final Fantasy, The First Soldier? Is this an Assassin's Creed game? Is this Warframe? Is this Destiny? Is this Anthem? Is it Exoprimal? Like, there's so many games. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like the cheapest carbon copy of all of those things we've already seen. This is the trend chasiest of games. From the fact that they went to the Suicide Squad IP over anybody else to every single gameplay mechanic that we are seeing. This is just insane. Like Dick Ride It. Like, it's insane how bad this is shaping up to be. Yeah, Josh, the HUD is just busy. And then Nil says, Why can't I see what all 5 of my currencies are during the match? Dude, you bring that up, but I know I saw a screen, and I swear it's in here. Oh, maybe it's right here? When he's upgrading? There is a screen. There are legitimately 5 different in-game currencies for this fucking title. 5. I don't like. You guys know my rant about menus, and I just get like I see that. I look at this screen, the one specifically that we have pulled up, and I get flashbacks to the worst part of Injustice 2, right? Which was the gear system, which is, yeah, really cool to get a new helmet, but do I really, really care if it gives me a plus 0.01% damage boost for 2 seconds when I'm hit with fear gas, right? Like, that's, like, I don't care. Or the same thing applies to God of War, the new ones, where, oh, you can get 1 extra damage on your axe, but reduced frost damage. It's just like, can't I just have like a base attack thing, and my strategy is more around, how I use it rather than what effects I can stack on top of it? It's so, and when I encounter those sort of systems, my eyes automatically gloss over, my brain checks out. I just go, to reiterate what I'm saying, I see this and I just automatically go, you don't care about providing me, the player, with a good experience. The main objective here is to snag that one whale, those 2 whales, and let them, buy your guys' next yacht. And to me, like, obviously that's super scummy and anti-games and everything, but it's also just, fuck you. That's literally all I can come up with. Josh says you get that gauge when you buy the expansion. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, 0 semen remaining on the fake HUD here. Let me pull it back up just because it's fun. But yeah, it baffles me that everything they show about this game makes it look worse every time. Dude, that is the same. That is sort of how I feel. I want to know, because, and maybe this is a conversation I need to have with some people in our sphere, like WDW Pro and Jonas and all those sort of people. But at some point, you've got to realize, like, the reputational damage releasing something like this is going to do, right? The only time, and this doesn't just apply to video games, but I mean like movies, TV shows, comic books, the very few times I can actually think where somebody did, they were going to make something and then they saw like, oh, this is going to be bad. And, despite having committed to it, they actually canned it, are Batgirl from Warner Brothers and the new Warriors comic from Marvel that I am still waiting for. It has been 4 years. Daniel Kibblesmith, give me my new Warriors comic. But to that end, I feel like it just in where we are nowadays, especially, and I feel like this is something the corporations and the companies haven't caught up to yet, but we have always been privy to, and now we are able to express more clearly because of social media. But it's that, what am I trying to say here? It's that sense of, we can tell when you're being disingenuous. We can tell when you're just trying to milk us. We can tell when this shit smells fishy. So why would you risk your there's no amount of you hiding things or dodging things that's going to be able to trick players into going, oh yeah, I'm going to go rush out and get this. It's a completely different ecosystem, and the more you try to do it, the more damage to your reputation you get. Rocksteady was a premier developer. Those Arkham games they set the, city, Asylum and City set standards for the industry. They won every piece of recognition for that studio. They were, anytime you said Rocksteady, here's a rumor about Rocksteady, people crapped their pants out of excitement. When you release this, you're not going to get that. You're going to go, wow, how the mighty have fallen. And you've now wasted 10 years of their development time on this. That's 10 years we could have had them making, one-off Justice League titles. How cool would that have been if instead of, a full Justice League title, they went into doing like an anthology line where it's like, here's a Flash game, here's a Wonder Woman game, here's a Green Lantern game, here's a Supes game, here's a Green Arrow game, right? And that's what I'm saying with Rocksteady. I say Green Arrow for Rocksteady because I actually trust them to do something good with that, or at least I did. And now it's gone, and it's super disheartening because we don't have a lot of, developers to get excited for nowadays, as we'll probably get into in our next topic. But let's see. Josh says the Ghostbusters video game also does this, keeps everything looking clean and cinematic. Or you can go to the Metroid Prime way and have a creative HUD that actually helps with immersion. So yeah, like those are the two ways you can sort of go about it, right? Is in the third person way, which is what like Ghostbusters and Dead Space does. It works a little more in like to immerse you if you've got the meters on your backpack, or you've got, visual indicators rather than just meters and bars and numbers, right? But when you go first person, that opens up, more options to have like a proper HUD, like you were saying with Metroid Prime, because yeah, obviously you want to have, if I were fighting, I would want to have some information like how much ammo do I have left? What are my weapons at? Here's one, come on, like here, super simple, all like one of the simplest HUDs ever, but it's been one of my favorites just because, let's see, where's that window? The Halo screen, right? Like, because to me, this feels like what Master Chief would have, or like a Spartan would have on display in his helmet. He would have his health, or like his shields in his health. He would have his ammo, or he would have his weapon, his ammo, his grenades, and a map. He wouldn't have, call now to talk to your UNSC buddy or whatever, or go deposit these 9 data shards to Cortana. Like none of that is there. It's all, I don't know. It's clean. It drops me in. And it's one of those things where I don't know if I've ever said this in relation to my menu disdain, but one of the things I hate about modern video games in that vein is that if I boot up a video game for the first time, like if I want to start something new, or like I know that I immediately have to sync, I can't just pick it up and get into it. I have to sit there and be like, all right, this is going to be an hour and a half time commitment because they're going to walk me through everything. I have to learn every stupid mechanic. I have to learn everything about the HUD before they'll actually let me into the game. And it's exhausting. Whereas these old games, your Halos, your Sonic the Hedgehogs, your Mega Mans, they drop you in and say, go. And as things introduce, maybe they'll give you a little like clippy, like, hey, here's a tip, but they don't spam it at you. They don't lay it all out for you. They don't dump it all on you at once. So it feels more like you are progressing and naturally growing. And yeah, you can just get into a game and go. And I think like that's something I would like to see solved in video games, because I feel like, at least personally, I would play so many more games if I could just drop in and go play. Oh, now I'm invested because like this gameplay is good and you've got me like interested. Now I'm invested, rather than, all right, let me sit and learn everything. Now let me see if I want to play this game. You know what I mean? It's so backwards. Timon sent me something on Twitter. I will check that in a second. Nils. Yeah, so Niller's right. The thing that gets me most about this game is that it's going to launch with 4 stages that you'll have to run again and again. So, yeah, like I will do you one better. I don't even think it's like stages per se. I think it's just mission types. Maybe that's what you mean too, Nils. But like, it's going to be like defend, collect the shards, kill waves of enemies, and I don't know what, point A to point B, like go to point A to point B. That's absolutely what it's going to be forever. And if modern AAA development is any indication, that's all the offering that they're going to give you for the next 12, 13 months. Then you'll get one new mission, maybe, if you're lucky. And yes, I am going off of what they did with Halo Infinite, because I cannot believe how badly they fumbled that game. When after launching to praise and people going, we are excited for Halo again, let's see what you're going to do, they near abandoned the game for like a month or like a year and a half. Just said, see ya, but here's some cosmetics. So stupid. Yeah, so that my buddy Outlaw is here. He says there's a screenshot that shows there's 6 currencies. Okay, it's 6 currencies. That's what I was saying. Like, too many. What are we doing here? There has to be, and I am so interested in reading it. There has to be some level of specific like video game development research, like a psych study about what is the science behind including these extra currencies. Because, pardon me, like, one or two, oh, you can spend this one on your strength and then this one on magic. Like, okay, sure. But once you start getting 6 different currencies, I found it, OM. I found the screenshot because I definitely wanted to show everybody. So, what is this? Why aren't you working right? There we go. So, this, do I have it up? Good. This is a screenshot that was shared earlier today from a user who played the alpha. As you can see, it is highlighting a weapon you get from Poison Ivy that has, frost damage, whatever. Again, this is all the crap I hate. I don't want to read it. I don't care that I get 1% more damage. Like, plus 6% melee damage to grunt enemies. Plus 11% affliction resources from melee hits. Like, who cares? And then it gets even worse when you go look at those stats over there where it's freezes enemies for 10 seconds. Enemies take damage from firearm. Like, it's just so much stuff you have to learn that's not intuitive and just, I didn't sign up to do like calculus and not to say it's complicated, but there's just so much crap you have to keep in your mind at all times. It's not fun. This isn't fun. It's to no end. But yeah, as my buddy OM was saying, if you look up here, there are 6 different currencies. There's a gold one, a green one, a blue one, a purple one, a yellow one, and then it's grayed out, but there's, because it looks like it's all spent. But at the very end there's a white one. And it's just like, what all are we paying for? Like, what is the point here? What are you getting out of it at this point? And I say that in the sense of like, yes, I don't necessarily like a lot of, the Destiny 2, what do you call these types of games? Like raid roguelikers. I don't know what you want to call them. Like, I'm not necessarily a big fan of those type of titles, but I can recognize when one is good. And it's like, what are you going to get out of Justice League here that you won't get better out of Destiny? And obviously it's the IP, and that's obviously what they're banking on. But as a player, I just go, you're lazy. You're lazy. I can tell you're lazy. Also, I totally didn't even think about this, but like, how stupid does Rocksteady feel? Because, like, so again, right, this game goes into development in 2010, right? They had to watch, as in the over those next 4 years, the live service boom sort of hit and then started dropping off. They also had to sit there and watch as Marvel's Avengers did exactly what they're doing with a far more popular IP at the height of its popularity, and it failed. And yet they still just have to keep trucking on. And then they do that first preview like a year ago, and it's awful. But they're already too deep, so they have to delay it, but they just keep on trucking on. Like, I feel really bad for all of the actual workers there. Again, they could have been doing so much more with their time. We could have probably gotten... Think of any video game that you guys have been waiting for, or your dream game. We would have had a better chance of having it if these developers were free to, either work on something different at Rocksteady or go pursue opportunities elsewhere. Like, all you did was trap them and waste probably like some of the prime years of their working talents. Like, it's so bad. Crackdown 6. Hey, wait. I want Crackdown 6. Jorge brings up a trillion, but like he brings up a trillion. He brings up the Crackdown series from Xbox. I liked those games. I really liked those games. But those also had like a very fluid, free mobility system, like that wasn't so regimented on you have to grab ledges and stuff. I don't know. It was just a lot more fun. It was a lot more video gamey than what I'm looking at here with Suicide Squad. So definitely a fan of it. Tehillim, welcome. Tehillim is finally here. He is back. He says he's been watching through live action One Piece, Pluto, and Akuma-kun. All good choices. And then he did his comic book pickup today, and it did have Ultimate Spider-Man. Good. We will definitely get to it because I am going to be ready for happiness because it's gonna come. Zero says I'd rather that book from Kibble Smith Kibble Bitch remained vaporware. Here's my thing. Yes, like I do not want it because I know it's going to be good. There is absolutely no way a comic book where people were going, yeah, our main character is named Safe Space and Snowflake. Like there was no way that was ever going to be good. But they thought they had the hubris to do it. And it's done. It is completed. And it is just sitting somewhere on Marvel's hard drives or in a warehouse next to the Ark of the Covenant. And I want to read that book to see how bad it was and to you don't get to run away from your mistakes. Like you have to own up to like the bad stuff you did. I don't want them to just 10 years from now, oh yeah, haha, we didn't try to make a really embarrassing like neoliberal swing in our comic books. No, that wasn't us. Yes, it was. And you have to take your licks as like with your victories. So I want that book more than anything. That is my comic book golden whale. Is this Aquaman? Dude, it might as well be Aquaman. Aquaman looked better. No, it didn't. I don't even know. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was so boring. Like, again, that movie, too, had just all the visual noise that just... Like, there's Avatar, the Avatar movies that I'm not even, like, really a big fan of. And then there's Aquaman. And then you look at how they both do water scenes. And in Aquaman, it's all just noisy and overstimulating and just, like... oh gosh, like gaudy. And then you get to like Avatar and it all feels fine and normal and not like overloading your senses. All that to say, Warner Brothers cooked. Like I hate that Aquaman movie. Shinkai says, learning gameplay first and then seeing if you should be invested is why I don't like Souls games. A fun game like Gravity Rush, simple but fun. The faster gameplay gets you the better rather than feeling it's a chore to learn. So I am right there with you, Shinkai. That is exactly the same philosophy I am of, right? So, spam call. But, right, like, I want, quick, snappy gameplay. I want you to get me in there and give me, when I'm playing a video game, the main reason I'm engaging with this particular form of medium is because I want to actively be doing something. Right? If I want a story, I can go read a book. I can go read comics. I can go watch a movie. I can go watch a TV show, all that other stuff. But I want to play a game. So if I open up your game and I have to sit there for like 45 minutes of cutscenes, that you've already lost me on your base premise. You might have the most interesting story in the world, but if you're presenting it in a game with no gameplay, I'm completely out. Now you present good gameplay and you make me go, oh, this is really fun. And now I'm invested in getting back to that gameplay. So we get to the next story moment and it's, oh, here's exposition, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. We got to go do that. But it's also a way, that's an excuse for me to go do more, like in Gravity Rush for more flying or more exploring, like things like that. So you need to do it. You need to build incrementally and not just drop crap on everybody. Because if you just drop it on them, it's overwhelming. It's too much. People are gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go play Super Mario Brothers for the 80th time because this is more my pace. Tehillim says he has no interest in the Suicide Squad game. I'd rather watch the Suicide Squad Isekai movie. Yes, I think that's going to be pretty much everybody's sentiment here because this game, as we're seeing, guys, like this is not shaping up to be something that, one, you should spend your money on, or and two, something you will be happy having spent your money on. Because, and then like, look at this. Look at that. I got more up here. Now they're doing like Riddler missions, right? So now you've got 9 different like things you have to collect to do the Riddler mission. And now you've got the riddles at the top of the screen. And over here, apparently, now that I guess this means they're in a multiplayer build, you see the name and distance of where like your teammates are and who they're playing as, which is, I don't know, dude. It's too much information. Like I I know people here have played things like, Final Fantasy 14 or The Division or or gosh, just like Diablo, right? And all these games that that their multiplayer is really dependent on parties and other players and groups. They don't overload you like this. They if I lose, let's say I'm playing with like Nillard and Zero, right? If I'm playing Diablo and I lose Nillard and Zero, I can hit a button to see who's in my party, and I go, oh, that's right. Okay, they're both still here. They're both still on the map. And then I can look myself and go, oh, there he is. I see him there. His name's highlighted now that I'm looking in his direction. Turn over here, gone. Oh, okay, there's Nillard. Now I can go over there, right? Same with the Division 2, which is probably a more apt comparison because they play more similarly to each other. It's just, or in so like that's stupid just to have to see all of your teammates at every time. But also the role thing is so weird because when I look at that little box over there and I see how it notes every single role of who's playing who, it feels like it's almost insulting because I think of Overwatch, and in Overwatch, those were all characters with all different roles and they all have their own assignment. But when you're in a match, if you're not hitting tab to look at like the stats, you don't see what role a person is in or which specific character they are playing. You'll see their username, but unless you're seeing their physical model in front of you, you don't know who it is. Like there's no information being gained from this, right? Especially in light of the fact that they don't play that differently. I don't really give a shit if the person next to me is Harley or Captain Boomerang when their abilities are going to play out the exact same way. I also don't really care if my multiplayer partner is immediately right next to me because I know that if I have to go to a mission, the game's probably going to say waiting for all players to gather. Like they're creating solutions for problems that didn't exist because they were solved 1,004 years ago. It's treating players like morons instead of treating players like players. And honestly, as I say that out loud, it just makes me think that is kind of the point. This isn't for actual players. It's part of Warner's insane monetization plans, Like, obviously, we know David Zaslav, current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, has been cleaning house, trying to, settle their debts and all that stuff. And then we also know that a couple months ago, during their most recent earnings call, like right before the new year, Warner was like, we have a lot of good IPs and we're going to start we want to start licensing those to always online, like continual experiences. That's what we want in the future. So all of that wrapped together makes me think like this is treating you like a moron because Warner Brothers is trying to appeal to the base, just everybody. They don't want anybody left behind because they want this to hit as many eyes as possible just so they can get that whale. And that to me is just that like done. To Hillam, why does Poison Ivy need an axe? This is like terrible Assassin's Creed games after 3. It feels like a loot box system. That is sort of what it is to Hillam. It's a little less egregious than a loot box system because you at least know what you are getting to a certain extent. Like, oh, I'm going to be getting a weapon or whatever, right? But it is still, if you've ever played a game with a gear system, it is oh yeah, I open this. Okay, cool. Oh, I got a helmet that's only like +1 against fire. Let's go open this chest. Oh, sweet. This helmet was, invincibility. Like that is the thing you have to do. And then you have to mix out all your items. It's tedious. And I'm not against tedious systems. Like I can get into games with intricate gameplay like that, but it has to be in service of something fun or interesting. It can't just be for the sake of it, which is what too much media is nowadays. Like I exist to be a horror movie for the sake of it. I exist to be a strong girl character for the sake of it. Like it's the trend that's running through Hollywood. Timon says, well, first Society says, my boy Jacob, can we just go back to playing Killzone 2 or Battlefield 3 on PS3? Dude, like you make the joke all the time. So if you guys haven't heard him make, so obviously Society Reviews, my good friend Jacob of Society Reviews, he's always on the Bounding streams, on his own streams. You guys know us, we hang out all the time. But he makes a joke all the time, like whenever we start talking about video games where, yeah, I haven't played anything new since the PS3. And I honestly with rare exception, I don't blame, like, all of my favorite games are from that era. All the good games are from that era. The games that are exciting and fun to play and weird and are actual video games and not just movie simulators. Like, that's what we have nowadays. We have walking movie simulators, and then we have, like, what would we call this? Like, this, it's like an like the term that comes to mind is like investment banking simulator. Like, it's so, or like CPA, right? Like tax accountant simulator. It's just so nothing. It's just, but I wanted to point this out to you, Tahillam, and to everybody, because this is just sort of emblematic of how stupid this entire game design is. But if you look over here on the Poison Ivy axe, you'll notice that when it, one of the effects, and this is just a general effect of the freeze type or whatever, is that when enemies are frozen, they take right here. See, frozen enemies take greatly reduced damage from melee. But then, why do we have an axe? Why do we have an ice axe that freezes them? Like it's such a contradictory system. Oh, you want me to switch to my guns, but that's not intuitive. If I was trying to come up with a gameplay thing where it's like freeze enemy, then hit them. For freeze enemy, when they're frozen, your first weapon does less damage, so you have to switch. It would be gun, switch to melee, because that just makes sense in people's heads. Hitting them with an axe and then it doesn't work anymore because they're frozen. Well, everything we've seen in like every media is hit it, shatter, go. Like it's just really bad design. It's just, I can't say more about the design other than just to sit here and go, like that's all my reaction. Like I'm just in disbelief at how bad it is. Nillard says, in Deep Rock Galactic, holding control brings up a pointer and also highlights your party through terrain. See, that's what I like. Like, I like the option to be there if I need to find them, but I don't want it there all the time, right? It's sort of like, to bring it back to Arkham, everybody always, the detective system in the first game, everybody jokes about how that's become so widespread, but at least in the first Asylum, like, you had to turn it on only in specific situations. And that, to look through a wall or solve a puzzle. Nowadays, that's every game. You have detective vision on all the time. And, look no further than the leak of Marvel's Wolverine that we saw before the break, right? That game is shaping up to be another Marvel Spider-Man 2, for all that's worth. Jeez. Yeah, Timon says, Tahillam, bang on, like a bad Assassin's Creed game. Nillard says, the idea is you hit them with the axe and then shoot them with the gun for massive damage. However, frozen enemies don't drop ammo when killed. That's even worse than I was thinking. Like, I was there with you, Nils, right? I was like, okay, I assume that they want you to hit, switch, whatever. But that's even worse, that they hit them with your melee stops working, so you got to shoot them with your ranged, but your range doesn't get replenished from it. There's no actual cohesive system here. I don't see how this is supposed to flow in any way whatsoever. When I think of video game designs, there are two ends of the spectrum for me now. There's on the high end over here, you've got like Nintendo and Eiji Muya, and it's like, we're gonna make a Zelda game, but we're gonna test everything and make sure this puzzle works with this part of the puzzle and this world, and it doesn't interrupt this. And if we're gonna make it so if you're flying through here on this quest, well, maybe you can also go through here on this quest, or you can do that. Like, they take into account all these very specific like scenarios. These games, they just go, like Rocksteady Live Services, they just go, have at it, kid. Okay, your melee axe doesn't work right? That's weird. Would you like this DLC? Like, that's what's coming. Like, it's so stupid. But before we move on from, because I think, like I said, I don't really have a lot more to say about Justice League or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It would just be me sitting here with my jaw agape going, oh, no, 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 for like ever. Oh boy, now you get a hover car too, and now there's a bomb thing. I don't even know what's happening, guys. Like, so many icons. But the thing, so I was teasing this a little bit at the beginning when Nillard brought up the Batman meter. So the one thing I want to just go like, what am I trying to say? The one thing, not even one thing. So, okay, with the review embargoes being lifted, we have learned that, oh my god, okay, I don't even know how I want to frame this, because I know what I'm trying to say, but I just don't know how to like make it hit so perfectly. I guess in a perfect representation of how little these developers are looking into continuity or how things work together or cohesion, is that, all right, I don't know if anybody here played the Arkham Knight game, right? Let's see. I am going to pull it up for us to just play in the background while I am talking, because like that's always more visually fun, right? But in case you guys did not play play Gotham Knight. Oh boy, this is a really low quality one. Oh well, whatever. It's not like we're actually like breaking it down. But so if you happen to play Arkham Knight, and if you haven't played Arkham Knight, I'm gonna warn you right now. If you're interested in the story, it's an old game. It's like 2014. But if you haven't played it yet, you want to play it yet, consider this your spoiler warning. I will give you the next 10 seconds to sign off. I probably recommend coming back in maybe 10 just to be safe, because who knows how long of a tangent I'm gonna get pissed about this for. So with that countdown, I am going to hit play and continue on with what I was going to say. So if you played Arkham Knight, you would know that at the end of this game, so at the end of Batman's entire, final stand against Joker, against all that stuff, at the end of this game, his identity is revealed to the world by Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange manages to get him in front of a camera, unmask him. The entire world knows who he is. However, that doesn't stop Batman. He goes through with it. Him and Jason Todd, who is the Arkham Knight, they eventually team up together and they save the day. But in the aftermath of saving the day, we end up here where Bats, with his identity having been exposed, with all his secrets laid bare, he initiates being exposed. Batman, as we're seeing here, he shuts down his entire operation. It's gonna come in a few seconds as the cutscene plays out. But after shutting down the bat signal and letting the Gotham PD, sort of clean up, or letting them know to come clean it up, we arrive here at Wayne Manor, and as you'll see in a few seconds, Bruce essentially blows it up. He, everybody's here. Yo, oh my gosh, Vicky Vale, this is crazy. And then Bats goes with Alfred. They have like a nice moment for a second, and then the next thing you see is boom, like it blows up. And that was and then there is here, I can just fast forward. We don't need to see all that. It's just really cool. But yeah, see, I've got to, and they walk inside, and Vicky's like, oh, and then boom, they blow up. And this is where, quote unquote, they leave him off. And then you get, that is the ending to the game. And then you get, recap stuff, blah, 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 blah. But then you also get this, this post-credit scene where it's another family sort of going through his, crime alley experience. And this is months after Batman is dead. And as you see in a second, there's a new Batman, or like a monster Batman. We have no idea what it is. Like, this is the tease. Like, look at that, like, dust, smoke. He's like a vampire Batman right there. Even boom, hell Batman. And we know that the games had been setting up like Azrael and that, like, and his secret cult. And then we know that the comics have Damian Wayne eventually becoming like Batman 666, like all these things. And so, but regardless, essentially the point of this is that at the end of Arkham Knight, we meet the end of it. It's simple. They kill the Batman, right? And so that's where we leave off. Now, with the dropping of the NDA, we've for Suicide Squad, we have learned that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League takes place after Arkham Knight, which makes zero sense, right? Because that means Bruce kills himself off or like quits. Everybody knows who he is, and he decides to go be a public-facing superhero with the Justice League. Like, that doesn't make any sense, and it completely spits on everything that happened here. And again, if you're like me and you played through the entire trilogy from start to finish, that, like, it's a good, solid ending, especially if you're like me and you're a huge, like, yes, I already loved it as a video game, but then knowing the whole, like, lore and knowing, like, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy are here, all of it just wraps up to be just, it's an actual conclusion, and you feel good, and you're like, that's the end of the story. Putting Justice League retroactive, like, they're flailing. They don't really, I don't know what's going on over there. I do believe a lot of it is executive oversight, but at this point, this game is just it's going to derail their entire Arkham legacy, because everything they do here just gets shit on in the next game. I called this out when the leak started happening with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but they're in Arkham Knight, one of the climax, like near the climax of the game, when all hell is breaking loose, there Hugo Strange attacks Gotham with fear toxin, and it starts permeating, or what do you call it? Not permeating. Yeah, permeating the city, getting into everything. Yada yada, and then she's back, which is just, we all saw her. She's back. She's a kid now in Suicide Squad, and it's just it is. We are looking at the video game equivalent of sort of like the big screen movies, right? Where you have these teams just taking all the stuff we loved and fitting in what market research says works, and then expecting us to just deal with it and expecting everything to just be fine. And I'm sorry, but when you have glaring plot issues like that, I personally really can't just look past it. You know what I mean? Nillard said, "Oh, you just made me realize Suicide Squad game is the last thing Conroy worked on." Yes, it is the last thing Conroy worked on. And in case you didn't know, from the leaks, we learned that this game ends with him getting killed. Like, obviously the game. So when you hear a title like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, whether it's a comic book, a movie, a video game, a storyline, you don't necessarily, if I read that title, I'm not looking at it and going, oh yeah, the Justice League is absolutely dying. I presume that's the plot or the setup, and then something happens and they team up. That's how those stories go. Instead, according to the leaks, all of the heroes, save for Wonder Woman, actually die. And for Batman, it comes at the hands of Harley Quinn just shooting him in the face. And it's not great. I have my pause there is because I have the audio for that moment from the leak, but I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for it if I play it on here. So trust me, it's out there. It's not that hard to find if you want to go look for it. If I mean 90% of you all watching right now, you have me on Discord or Twitter. You can just ask me for it. I'll send it your way. If you're watching in the replay, hey, maybe consider following me on Twitter at KabutoWriterMav, and we can start talking. We can start chatting. I can shoot it over to you. But yes, with that, I think that's all I have to say about Arkham. And I think I think in the vein of really bad video game developers, I think we'll stay on that vein for our next topic, which is Capcom is at it again. So in case you guys have not been keeping up with this particular story, a quick background rundown. So sorry, I just need water real quick. Last year, in October, Capcom held a special sort of industry presentation for their new RE engine, which essentially was just a 2-day conference where people from around the industry, from industries, can come in, get a lesson on how the RE engine works, what makes it possible, what it means for the future of business, entertainment, finances, all that, just a very basic, almost like a tech demo. But during this conference, obviously Capcom also holds a series of panels, just detailing their work, providing insight, very standard industry fair stuff. Well, last year, I have it in here. we they held a panel on anti-cheat, anti-piracy measures in PC games. Recommend and they had their recommendations for it, and essentially, uh, you know, they came out with this screen. They basically, oh, this is not going. It's just not going to work. Why doesn't it want to work for me? Maybe, do we need to open it on YouTube? Is that what this is asking me to do? So that I can just actually look at it. There we go. Wait, where's the other part? This is frustrating. I want this. So, right. So last year, October 2023, Capcom gives this presentation. A Capcom engineer programmer gives this presentation, and essentially, what they admit to is that because mods, there is a possibility for some mods to feature illegal content, and by illegal content they mean things like, unlocking DLC packs that aren't in the game, or installing aimbots in multiplayer games that ruin the experiences, not things like that, right? Because of that, recognizing that there is a possibility for malice in these instances, Capcom has basically said, we consider any single mod, any external tampering of our video games to be a crime. Whether you're adding a skin, whether you're adding a field of view slider, or you are, hacking the game and making sure that in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you always have ultimate, super meter. It doesn't matter to them. To them, they have said it's all bad, right? And their main reasoning, as you can see in this panel, the one I was trying to pull up, is that these malicious mods can cause us reputational damage. Oh, if a player installs a mod, we're going to get, if it breaks something, we'll get in trouble. The media might pick up on it, yada, 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 yada. Essentially, it's a very disingenuous corpo reasoning thing, because I don't know about you guys, but I think most people are smart enough to go, oh, that was an extra external mod for a video game. Wasn't on them. What are you going to do about it? Of course, there will always be the morons who lose their minds, like the people who lose it over the GTA hot coffee mod or whatever. But for the most part, people are smart enough to differentiate from it. Now, there's also a specific note I want you guys to all see up here at the very top, right? The image of the product is tarnished when mods are released that violate public order and morals without permission. So again, now this is, what am I trying to say? It's moral panicking in service of taking away your consumer rights, right? Because things like this have always existed, whether it be, parody, whether it be, let's say, porn parodies, or the old Newgrounds Flash cartoons that had you being super violent with, Nickelodeon characters, or all the various appearances of characters in things like Family Guy. These people, when those release, people don't necessarily associate it with you. They realize it's somebody taking your property, your idea, and doing something with it. So to claim that you're doing it without permission, it's very Orwellian, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just sort of trying to give them that backdoor defense for, this is why we're coming in and taking away your rights to do things. Zero says, talk about world-class fuck-ups. Oh yeah, this is a very bad one. We're not even at the chunk of it yet. Timon says, no one accidentally installs a mod on a game. Absolutely. That's the other thing that I think a lot of people forget. And again, so a lot of people do, Timon, you're right, forget that mods are voluntary. You have to go find them. There's no option unless you're unless you're Bethesda or whatever. I can't boot up Tears of the Kingdom and go to the shop and find every single mod that's ever been made, right? I have to go to Nexus mods, I have to go to Discord servers, I have to go to Reddit, I have to go to forums. I have to go out of my way to get them and install them and make sure they work with everything. It doesn't happen accidentally. Now, I think what happened in this, what happened in culture, Timon and everybody, is that it still goes back to the hot coffee GTA mod, right? Because what made that so blurry in a lot of people's minds is that it was a mod, but it was unlocking something that was already on the disc. So I think because that was the first big appearance of the topic of modding and such in the public consciousness, that sort of warped a lot of people's preconceptions, understandings of what it means to have mods, what do mods do, that kind of stuff, right? So it's all bad. It's there's nothing like, yeah, it's bad. It's anti-consumerist. It's pathetic. As Nillard said, they're still salty about Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Dude, I'm still salty about Street Fighter Cross Tekken. You know why? Because I wanted the other one. I wanted Tekken Cross Street Fighter. I wanted the like the play style of Tekken on Street Fighter characters. I thought that would have been cool. And they just they threw it in the bin with Darkstalkers 4. We're never getting either of those games, and it makes me super pissed off. You can't mod the game. Shinkai says you can't mod the game for moral reasons. Says companies whose only morals is the $sign. Exactly. But that's, again, this is all disingenuous corporate speak for, what they're actually doing. When they say, mods that violate public order and morals, that's not, nobody's releasing, they're not talking about mods where you violently sexually assault somebody or, step by step teach people how to build explosive devices. No, they're talking about skimpy swimsuit outfits. They're talking about fat Nathan Drake funny costumes. Like, that is what they're talking about. It's again, it's disingenuous because they're trying to fan up a moral panic so that people go, oh, they're right, we got to support them. When in reality, ending the support of mods does nothing for anybody but the developer themselves, and even then, not really, right? So if a developer adds, is that the way I want to go about this? Is that the direction? No. Let me go to the chat first, and then we'll keep going. Zero says, it's hilarious how people didn't take red flags from Street Fighter 6, but they all listened once they started fucking with mods in general. Mods will fix it until until companies start hunting down mods. That's exactly what I was about to get to, Zero. Thank you. Like, you're beating me there. And then OM says, they want to be able to have the option to sell those types of things to you later. Oh, no, that's absolutely what it is. Like, right? Like, I brought up the example of the Bethesda mod store, which is, I think, antithetical to the entire concept of modding. But, here are approved mods that you can pay us money for and fix our game that we couldn't do for you. It's all very crappy. But yes, so to this end, so what am I trying to say here? All right, yeah, that's the way I want to attack this. So this was in October of last year, right? So this was Capcom saying, we don't like mods, and look, our support time goes up. Customers affected by mods cost support time. Freeze and save data corruption. Which is this is what's insane to me as a reasoning, because they're trying to say oh, it costs so much time when we have to help people with mods and fix their game with mods. When I promise you, as somebody who has worked with proprietary technology and software and stuff like that, if somebody comes to you and goes, hey, I have a problem with this device, this technology, and you go, okay, is everything completely normal on it? Is it completely standard factory out of the box? And they go, no. You automatically just go, I can't. You either go, that's your problem, or I can't help you because you've modded the thing. It's not great, but that's also well within the rights of companies and completely understandable. A company should not be held responsible for you fucking up their product in the third party market, in the aftermarket, right? Like that. But to say that it costs you so much time that you have to invest and that your support for others is delayed, and then right here, this bullshit made me so mad. Delays in the original production of the game due to the time required for research. You don't need to research anything. And it's delaying your original production. You are not a team of 50 people where everybody has to be taken from that department. You are Capcom. You sponsor the world's biggest fighting game tournaments. You own Street Fighter, Mega Man. You have these enormous brands. You are not. This is completely putting the responsibility for their own bullshit, their own greed onto the consumers. Nillard says, I want to hear the customer support calls about, so I tried to add a clothing mod for my Monster Hunter character and it crashes now. I'm sure there are millions of them and I'm sure they are great, but that's the thing, right, Nils? Like, I don't think anybody would reasonably expect that Capcom to have to actually sit and walk anybody through how to unfuck your mod, right? Because I don't know how you installed it. I don't know what modifications you may have made to the mod. I don't know what system the mod is using. I may have never even heard of the mod. So why am I supposed to go out of my, like, nobody requires you to do that. This is not an argument. This is moral hysterics. It's really what it is, right? And then, it affects our costs, yada, yada. It's all just sort of, woe is us, we're suffering so hard from people modding our games. And again, if this was something, if they were specifically attacking multiplayer mods, right? Mods that affected everybody's games. So Street Fighter became unplayable, Exoprimal became unplayable, yada, yada, yada. If that was the case, these arguments I would accept, right? It probably does take a lot of money if you find somebody in Street Fighter 6 with a mod that is making them invincible, because now it's not about helping one individual person with a mod. You have to go into your game and find what is happening, how to stop that. In that sense, I understand it. But if somebody like me is modding in a sexy bunny outfit for Cammy, like I've done 7 times, not on 6, but on 4, like, what, there's, nobody, I'm sure if I went through your, like, EULA, like your end user license agreement for any random choice of your game, there's probably some clause in there that says, if you tamper with this, we don't have to, provide you with assistance for it. I guarantee it. Because it's as insane as somebody going, I don't know. I don't have a good comparison, but it's an insane ask. But with all that, so that was October 2023. Fast forward to this month where, what? Why did I go to the editing part of it? That was weird. So earlier this week, enter this week where on January 9th, or no, it started on January 5th. Players for Resident Evil Revelations. It came out in 2013. It's an 11-year-old game, single player, not multiplayer or whatever. A lot of the players who booted up Steam got an update notification for the first time in years, probably at least like 5, 6, 7. So everybody goes, what the hell is that about? Like, why did we get an update for this game? As curious minds do, they dove in, they started looking around at what was going on, and they discovered that with that update, Capcom had added a new form of DRM to the program. This form of DRM is called the Enigma program. It doesn't do anything different than normal, but essentially all forms of digital rights management software exist to prevent the player from tampering with the files within it. Normally, this is more specific to multiplayer things, but it can also happen in single-player games. So yes, that was discovered to be added to Resident Evil Revelations. As a result of the mod being added to Revelations, players started to discover, oh, my mods are all breaking, after discovering the DRM was added, players started discovering that their mods were breaking, right? Because that's what happens when you go into fix the infrastructure, everything breaks. But because it wasn't just mods that were breaking, it was also just the game itself. It started crashing. There were stability issues. There were frame rate drops because when the software kicked up its verification process, all the processing power went out the window, went to that, and your computer suffered for it. Thankfully, sometimes the screen gets a hiccup. Did something happen? Did I drop again? I definitely didn't mean to drop. I have no indication that I've dropped, so I've still been going. I hope. Yeah, who knows? But regardless, getting back to it. So, yeah, players discovered that Enigma had been added to Resident Evil Revelations. It was destroying the game. It was making it basically unplayable. As a result, a bunch of players on the Steam forums started, posting. Just if you go to the Steam forums right now, they're just filled with line after line of "I'm boycotting this. We're not watching, or we're not playing this anymore. No more Capcom games. Take this out of my damn game." That kind of stuff, right? In light of this huge backlash, Capcom eventually went, "Okay, hey, we're sorry," and I believe I have it in that article there, where they go, "Yep, sorry. Like, due to an observed issue with the latest update released, we have reverted the corresponding update." Like, that was what they did for Revelations. So that sort of was the end of the Revelations chapter. But in the wake of this discovery, players obviously went back through their Steam catalogs and were looking at all their other games, testing their other Capcom games, testing their launchers, all that fun stuff. And they discovered that Capcom has been undertaking a long campaign of adding this specific DRM, Enigma, to their Steam library. At current, the games we know have the DRM are both Capcom arcade stadiums, both volumes of the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, the Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection, Resident Evil 5, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, and the 2014 Strider Remake. Now, this is sort of where I was trying to get to before, when I sort of had my brain fart and wasn't sure how I wanted to attack this. Now, in Capcom's mind, I'm sure that they believe this is helping us, right? Oh, if we close them out, if we close out players from being able to mod, like OM says, now we can sell them this stuff. They'll have to buy our costumes. They'll have to buy our quality of life improvements. They'll have to make us more profitable, right? And that's what they're going for. But I think they don't realize, this goes back to what I was, again, it's always full circle here at The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, but this is sort of what I was saying at the top of the show, where they're not looking at the effects it's going to have on their, the reputation of their games. And by that, I don't just necessarily mean, oh, nobody's going to want to trust Capcom from here on out. But for those who may not be familiar with the computer PC game modding scene, essentially, mods are obviously a big part of the culture, but they're also tremendous in selling games after their launch, right? Somebody releases a great mod for Fallout New Vegas that revamps everything. Everybody goes out and buys it who doesn't have it yet, who doesn't have it yet because they want to play it. Somebody makes a good mod for Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, that a game nobody ever played. Oh, now we're going to go sell copies of that. Somebody makes a mod that happens to fix something that's broken in your game. Not great, but guess what? Now you get more support for it. Or even if it's just a mod that, I've given more attention to Street Fighter 6 watching videos of the mods, of the bunny outfit mods and all that stuff, than I have actually engaging with the game. So all that to say, in a meta sense, in a reputational sense, mods are good for these companies because they allow their games to sort of stay in the zeitgeist. And you never know when somebody's going to mod your game in that one right way that goes on to become a phenomena, right? Which, what is that game that I'm trying to... Dota. Like Dota was exactly like that. It's a Warcraft mod. If mods were banned by Activision Blizzard, we would never have gotten one of the, we probably would have never gotten the MOBA genre in general, or at least in the state it's in now, which, for better or worse, I could easily do without League of Legends in my life. But yeah, in that reputational sense, mods help because they allow, they push players to your game. They'll bring in a player who might not have been interested before. They'll give players a reason to return to your game. All these sorts of different things. Unless they are, like I was talking about before, unless they're explicit mods that exist solely to give you an advantage in a multiplayer competitive setting, they only really exist to boost your game's profile, to boost all of that, right? Because then what happens when somebody plays a great mod and goes, man, that mod reminds me, I would really, really love another I don't know. What do I even have up here? I can't even see any of my games. I would love another One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, right? Like I would love another one of those. And it's just it's yeah, it's the short-sightedness of it all. Yes, you'll probably get a lot more easy money by forcing people who to go buy your costume packs and stuff, but in the long term, once that instant flash of sucker money, for lack of a better term, runs out, well, now your games are just relegated to the dumpster. Nobody really cares about them anymore. Nobody's going to revisit them, and it's just the entire video gaming culture takes a hit as a result. Shinkai says, mods also good when companies mess up. You're going to need a mod if you want to play her with your eyes open. If you want to play her with your eyes open, what's that? I only know the movie. Her. I feel like that's a game too. But no, that's also what I'm saying, right? Is that good mods can save a game from just absolute disaster. A lot of people, like, I point to Bethesda again. What the hell is the name of that mod? Like the Skyrim Living mod or whatever? Like there's a giant mod out there that revamps the entire game and makes it completely new. And people buy Skyrim just to play that mod because it's so insane. Or old players return because it improves upon what they didn't like in the old games. And like I said, like it's not optimal that a player might have to come in and patch your game. You should always strive to give players the best out of the box experience as possible, but it does happen, and it shouldn't be shunned or frowned upon. It should be celebrated, if anything. OM says a big reason why Lethal Company is blowing up, besides the streamer attention, is that it's extremely. Oh, okay, wait. OM says a big reason why Lethal Company is blowing up, besides the streamer attention, is that it's extremely moddable. Right? Like, I definitely believe that because mods allow you to sort of put personality in the game. They allow you to have more fun. I don't know. My install of Resident Evil 2 remake on this PC is modded out the Yahoo because I get more costumes out of it. I get different weapons. I get different enemy triggers. It's just all these different things that make the experience fresh for me, that make me want to keep coming back. And it's also, remember how I mentioned that when I was talking about Halo Infinite and something else. I mentioned some other game, but about how Suicide Squad, where it's like whatchamacallit, the developers left us out to dry for a year and a half. There's no content. We're not doing anything. Well, thankfully modders might be able to come along and give you some reason to care about the game. Like it's mods, player choice, player customization of any sort will always get you more attention than not. And to take away a very huge cultural touchstone in modding, and not only take it away but declare it essentially like an idea non grata within your industry, is just anti-consumer, it's anti-player, and it's one of the many reasons I wake up every morning praying that this is the day the second video game crash happens. Because between these sort of, this overt, obvious corporate greed to the disregard for the people who actually care about their products and actually want to engage with them, to the absolutely bloated development times and stuff, that we are just at a point where this needs to go. We need a change, and this can't be sustainable. Yeah. Okay, so the reason I took that that I did that moment a second ago, guys, is because I definitely misread Shinkai's statement, because what Shinkai did say was mods are also good when companies mess up. Your is going to need a mod if you want to play her with your eyes open. And he meant your as in your forger. Why did I say it like forger? So that is something I wanted to bring up too. And I think that's probably like a perfect pin on the whole mod discussion, is that specific costume. Dang it, I had it a second ago. Because I was looking at it obviously before the stream. Yes. I have found it. I have found it after that weird moment of silence where I forgot that I was live. Woohoo! So, yeah, in case you guys didn't see this, Your Forger Street Fighter 6. So, yeah, a couple weeks ago, we got this really cool announcement that that the anime Spy X Family was going to have a crossover with Street Fighter 6, and we got this really beautiful animation that I wish. This is the kind of style I want to see more of. This is very much that ArcSys 2D anime fighter style. But we got this preview. It looked great. Everybody was super excited. Everybody is going, oh, shoot, you're Chun. Two of media's finest ladies with the finest thighs going at it. And yeah, see, oh, everybody was so excited. Yay. And then we eventually got the collab, right? Oh, look, there's Chun-Li. But the problem is when it came to Yor, are they not showing her model up close? Yeah, so when Yor actually came out, Yor wasn't a character. She wasn't a costume for anybody. She's literally just avatar gear. So you end up with all your Yors looking really odd, because I don't know if you guys have really engaged with the Street Fighter 6 character creator, but compared to the like actual designed characters, they all look very uncanny valley because they all feel just so unnatural, right? Because you're just putting parts together. You're not making something with a cohesive like character design. So this is what we ended up with. And nobody's really happy. If you go on Twitter, if you go look around, everybody's pretty pissed that this is like the best we got. But to that end to our entire discussion about mods, in the wake of this release, we literally had modders come out and give Chun-Li a Yor costume. And I know you guys are seeing the same thing I am, but compared to what we were just looking at, this is insanely better than the terrible avatar gear, right? And this is just one guy was doing this. You're telling me your development studio couldn't do any better? But yes, that's exactly what Shinkai is saying, and that's what we're talking about too. If you mess up, mods should be able to fix it. We shouldn't have to pay like that, and that's what's like Insidious. What's what OM said, where, oh, your field of view is broken. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, we can mod it to fix it, but it's going to cost you $2. You know, it's our development costs. We're sorry about that, but you got, when it's like, no, you didn't. I could have gotten that for a free mod. Like that's what they want, and that's what they're angling towards. Let's see. Yeah, Tehillim says mods should be freebies for games. Absolutely. Like never. I will never pay for a mod. It's insane. Yeah, Timon, exactly right there. Modded FF8 with AI enhanced graphics, right? Like there are so many different things you can mod, whether it's graphics, new characters, even new story, like just new games altogether. It's insane. Yeah, exactly, Nils. The RimWorld devs have paid modders to integrate their mods into the base game. Like that's an I've heard of some, like that's not the first time I've heard of a studio doing that, but I definitely know it happens, and I love it every time. And not exactly the same, but related. I don't know if anybody here reads the manga Kenren Omega and Kenren Ashura, like that series, but the way they do their simulpubs is actually, so when they started making Kenren Ashura, they teamed up to host it on Comic-Key, the website, and Comic-Key said, oh, we can help you guys with English language simulpubs. We'll show you what it is. And they did their work, came back to the mangakas and said, here, take a look. The mangakas looked at it and went, holy shit, this is bad. Like, this is so stilted. It's so weird. Like, what are we looking at? So both mangakas, the artist and the writer, decided, you know what? We've seen this pirated version that's floating around by this one scan group. Find them. Hire them. So right now, the Kenren manga is actually scantilated, like officially scantilated by a former fan scan group, which is pretty cool. Like that's what we need more of that, putting people's skills to proper use. They're out there. We need to mold them. We need to aim them. Tehillim says people are sick of microtransactions in games. Absolutely, and that's probably, they've got the market research that I'm sure tells them that this is where we're heading, that nobody wants it. But I'm also positive that that's why they go, oh man, nobody wants it. Well, we're gonna have to force them to want it. Damn it, they will want our mods. Whoops. Right, yeah, and then to that point, Shinkai adds to that. Also, when something like DRMs are introduced, like bills to regulate the internet, Capcom will try to introduce it again. So hope we all keep up the good fight when companies make bad choices. And I think that's probably the better stamp to this topic, right? Shinkai, is that, like we sort of saw, they reversed course on Resident Evil, but all the DRM that they added to the Mega Man games, the Street Fighter, the Strider, those were all still there. So it is, it sucks, but we have to be vigilant. We have to make sure that these companies don't just make this standard practice, because it's going to, DRM is so intrusive that it's not just, blocking, it gets into your root systems. I'm not going to go into the super technical tech stuff, because I know that I could go there for hours and you'll all just get really bored, because I could start talking about root trees. But essentially, DRM gives too much access to third parties for unspecified reasons, with no way to really track how it's being used, and it's not good. It's anti-consumer. It will break your games. It will make it so your old games aren't playable anymore. It's getting to a point where if you want to play an old game, you're gonna have to pirate it. Otherwise, it's just gonna be unplayable. Yeah, Timon, exactly. Like, oh man, that was fugly. Of the Yor. Yeah, exactly. That looks like one of my freak Monster Hunter characters, with like the big eyes and like the like thrust out lips. Zero says, Mav, even Street Fighter 6's actual characters have gone into Uncanny Valley. Chun-Li actually looks ugly, and she got race casted too. Oh, okay. So, let me address all those points. So, I don't actually agree with that. I think the actual Street Fighter characters themselves still look really good. And personally, I am a big fan of Chun-Li's current look. Not because it's an I'm not saying like, oh yay, she finally looks different or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, they showed her look and I went, all right, I like her. She's pretty attractive. So I think, and that's what I'm saying, is that they're less Uncanny Valley because they're designed by somebody with one idea in mind for a specific purpose to communicate their character traits and all that fun stuff. Whereas your creative characters are just parts that you throw together that work, but they're never going to be a real boy, essentially. And then I didn't know about her. I'm assuming when you say race casted, that's her being like she had a white voice actress who was replaced by a Chinese voice actress or something. I don't know about that because I've only played these games in Japanese. I genuinely couldn't tell you what Chun-Li sounds like at all. So I didn't know about that. I do disagree with that. I think that entire trend in casting is absolutely stupid. But overall, I actually don't have, like, I think Chun-Li looks pretty good. Wait, they did the makeup a little strong on that one, but yeah, like I think these models look fine. They look better than Street Fighter 4 with like the giant like hands that were like 3 times the size of their head. That always bugged the hell out of me, like, because they had to keep hitboxes the same and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, and then Tehillim says Kengen Ashura is a fantastic anime. Baki and Baki Hamina is an amazing anime series too. Yes, both in the same realm of martial arts craziness. Definitely recommend both of them. But yeah, I think that is a perfect. I have like a sneeze that's like building in my nose, but it won't come out. So with that, I think we'll go. Let's get to our main topic of the night. I know we are. You know, every week, guys, these streams keep going longer and longer, but I'm not angry about it because I just genuinely love hanging out and talking with all you guys. All right. Obviously, I think it's about time to get to this little topic right here. Obviously, we've been here on this screen for a good part of like an hour and 45 minutes, and I have not talked about my stream buddy. But obviously, you've all been hanging out with a married Mary Jane and Peter Parker here for the entire stream. And the reason that is up there, the reason they are hanging out today, is because for the first time in genuinely God knows how long, we finally got a good main, like, we finally got a good Spider-Man story. Or a good Spider-Man. Why aren't you moving? Come on. Ugh. Why won't it transition my... Huh. For some reason, I can't swap my screen, so I can't bring you guys... This is really weird. What in the world? Like, the transition button is just completely... dead? Why is that? What the hell? That's upsetting. You gotta be kidding me. This is what I wanted to talk about. Dude, piss off. What the... What? Oh yeah, no, my stream, yes, my stream has your love. It does not want to get away from Chun Yor, and you know what? I don't blame it. It says too many assets in what I'm trying to change to. What does that even mean? I can't even like transition back to the starting screen. We're going to be stuck here for the rest of the show. Oh, man. Dude, that's bullcrap. Oh, did that work? Tell me that worked. That worked. I fixed it. Woo! Okay, finally. We're not... I was like, dude, am I really going to have to save this topic for next week when I'm not as hyped about it? Like, I need to talk about this to somebody. Before we get into that, obviously there's chat, so let me get to that, guys. Nil says, not to get into political economic talk, but I fear a point with microtransactions where the public says, quote, my groceries cost 50% more than last year. Buying a $20 swimsuit costume isn't possible. See, here's the problem. I think we're already at that point, especially if you look at the price points for the Street Fighter 6 DLC here. Street Fighter 6 DLC. Steam DLC page for Street Fighter 6. Let's. Oh gosh. Oh no. I'm gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to go back. Break up, everybody. Or break up. Buckle up, everybody. Oh, they don't have it out yet. Am I looking at the right game? Oh no, I know what I want. SF5 costume DLC. That's what I want to look at. So, yeah, we've kind of already gotten there, right? Like, look at this. The Street Fighter V Capcom Pro Tour 2022 Premier Pass. A stage, 2 fighters, or 3 costumes, and a stage for $20. That's a lot of money. That's a third of the actual base game itself. And, you know, they had the 2021 Premier Pass, all these different, like, costume packs. Like, look at more Capcom Pro Tour stuff, just nickel and diming every single thing. Like this is what I mean. You get new costumes, colors, and stages for $20 out of this. Whereas if I wanted the premium pass for the entire 5th season of the game, $30. Which I don't even like that. I don't like that we have 5 seasons of premium passes, but this is what I'm talking about. We're at the point where all these companies want to nickel and dime every single thing you're getting. And the prices are going so enormously through the roof that something has to give. And I'm hoping that what gives is the industry, because it would only the only people who are going to suffer from a collapse in the industry will temporarily be the workers who have to get laid off, which sucks. Again, the individual grunts, they're doing their jobs. They probably thought they were doing great. You know, they have no choice in the business decisions. And like, so they'll write themselves. I know it sucks. I don't think like it's an unfortunate casualty of the situation, but then the people who will really hurt are the people at the top, because that's who really needs to hurt, because this is their crap. It's all about line goes up to them. And when the second your product becomes a part of, like a stock exchange or whatever, and your mission goes from create art to line always goes up, then your soul, that's the moment your soul is going to start evaporating from all your work. And that's what we're seeing here. And it's bullshit straight, like, through and through. Okay, good. It did work for everybody. Clipped. Oh gosh, Timon keeps clipping me. But yes, okay, good. I'm glad that one was able to work. I'm glad we got through that. Now, oh, and look, the transition worked again. We can finally do this proper. So guys, obviously, one of the main topics both here on my Twitter feed, on the Bounding Into Comics 01 stream, just pretty much everywhere I am, is the fact that over the last, gosh, what do we want to say? The last 20 years almost, probably. Brand new One More Day was 2008, so nearly 20 years. Marvel has just shit on Spider-Man through and through. And they always do it to their own justification. Let's break up Peter. Let's break him up again. Let's ruin his life. Let's, have him destroy his company, his relationships, all that stuff. Because he's relatable. Isn't that what you want? Like, isn't the relatability of Peter what everybody wants? And it's like, and they've done it to their own, like, fart huffing. Like, every time they make a bad decision, every time they get pushback when it comes to Spider-Man, it's not every, like, how many letters have we read about this, guys, right? In all the past Amazing Spider-Man issues of, oh, you're only a small minority. Fans don't really think the way you do about this storyline. Everybody loves Paul. Everybody loves them being broken up. Everybody loves Ben being fucking Chasm. Everybody loves this. Like, that's every, like, letters page. It's such hubris. And it's gotten to the point where it is a known running, I don't even want to call it a joke, but just like a known fact that if you're opening a mainstream Spider-Man comic, like an Amazing Spider-Man comic, it is going to be crap because of what I noted right there, which is in 2008, when Joe Quesada did One More Day and said, oh, him being married and him having, being unmasked and developing a family, that's not relatable to our audiences. That was the moment Spider-Man got nailed to the wall, like, or what am I trying to say? That's the moment Spider-Man became complacent, where he became sterile. Because as soon as writers in Marvel went, oh yeah, everybody wants him to be relatable, they started focusing on superficial relatability, right? It's not about how does he approach these struggles and these problems. How does he move forward? How does he dream? How does he deal with despair? It's, oh, he's broken up and sad like you again. Oh, he's poor like you again. Oh, he's just a regular guy like you again, to the detriment of whatever storyline they're building up, right? We've seen it with, everything that Slott was doing with Brand New Day, everything he was doing with Superior Spider-Man. We're seeing it right now in Zeb Wells' a fucking just abysmal Amazing Spider-Man run that I just cannot get over, and I will never get over because it just continues to be bad. And because of that focus, right, that's where we've been. Like, I know that was very circular to what I was saying, but yes, Timon, and that hurts too. Let's make 800 Spider people these days, right? Like, everything about Spider-Man has just sort of been taken away from him. He's the Peter fans we don't get in comic books anymore. I don't remember I cannot tell you the last time I saw the Peter Parker in the comics who is like the character that I enjoy. Like, the movie is getting pretty accurate. Even like the Across the Spider-Verse got him accurate. The video games get him pretty good. Not really Marvel Spider-Man 2, but that's a whole other like can of worms. But when it comes to the comic books, it's just been misery after misery after misery for the last 15, 18, 20 years until now. So obviously, guys, we have talked about this before. There have been episodes of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly before where I have taken moments to talk about everything Jonathan Hickman has been doing with the Ultimate reboot, right? For a quick refresher for those of you who very understandably don't even want to check out Western comics anymore, but are curious as to what's going on. Essentially, they revived the Ultimate Universe after it collapsed with Secret Wars, and the plot was essentially the Maker, who is like the best villain of all time, evil Reed Richards, ultimate Reed Richards. He wanted to go back home, so he just used his science and brain to recreate Earth 1610, but he did so in a way that would allow him to control its development. And in that sense, he went, and his main goal was to make sure all the heroes who would appear don't really appear to stop him. So in like the first issue of Ultimate Invasion, he makes sure he steals the spider away from Spider-Man. It doesn't bite Pete as a kid. Instead of becoming a giant rage monster, Hulk becomes like, he's gamma radiated, but he's a monk, and he's like a very peaceful person. What was the other really cool one? Instead of Tony becoming Iron Man, it was actually Howard who became the first Iron Man, because he was able to keep living in the new timeline. Things like that, right? If you know the Maker, his main plan is to always make the perfect Earth. That's his goal. That's his dream. So that's obviously what he was doing. And, in typical comic book fashion, obviously the heroes unite, the Maker is eventually stopped. And in the aftermath of the revival of the Ultimate Universe, we are left with, here, I might as well just pull it up, because I know where these things are. They live rent-free in my head at all moments. Except I always forget where I put this one. There it is. Yeah, there it is. So, in the aftermath of all this, the Ultimate Universe is now... So, yes, Maker defeated, trying to pick up the pieces. This is Tony. This is a teenage Tony Stark, kind of redoing the Heroes Reborn 90s arc. But teenage Tony Stark knows what the Maker did, and he's decided, no, we're gonna put the world back the way it was. We need to make this world right. And he's teaming up with, in the back there, you see the new Ultimate Doctor Doom, which is actually, now follow me here. We're going into comic book logic. It is this incarnation of Earth 1610's version of Reed Richards, who was captured by the previous version of Earth 1610's Reed Richards, the Maker, to serve as his sort of personal assistant. And to serve as his assistant and to keep him complacent, he placed him in like a metal iron helmet. Ta-da! Comic books, everybody. But so that is where we left off with the reboot of the Ultimate Universe. Now, with everybody gone, with the main threat put down, it's time to start rebuilding. And the first the first move in that rebuild was Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, for those who don't know, the basic premise of this story going in is that this is obviously a different version of Peter Parker. This is a Peter who, as we see, might as well, let's just go through it, right? So this version of Peter Parker is not, he's older, he's middle-aged, he's got, kids, and he's married to Mary Jane. Also, quick question here. I don't know. Is it because I figured this was him putting his wedding ring back on after a shower, and I didn't think, is that an Insidious thing? Don't people normally take off their rings during showers? Because I know, it was just weird that they highlighted it like that. I'm not a married guy, no idea. But see, Peter, he's got kids, he's got a job, he's got a life, he's been doing things for himself. And look, MJ's still a smoking babe. I was really happy to see that, right? And so, right, so this is the Peter where, not Spider-Man, has a life, has a wife, has a kid, has a job, and his life is also different too, because as far as his job goes, he does work for the Bugle, but it's not Jonah. It's Uncle Ben is still alive in this version of Earth 1610, and he's actually the managing editor, as it says on the door, of the Bugle. He works with Jonah, and I can't, like, there's not really a way to, an entertaining way for me to sit here and sort of talk to you about how this plays out, but the dynamic that comes up between Ben and Jonah is one of the most, like, earnest, just hell yeah, dude, like, feelings of all time, where they've got each other's backs. They've got each other's backs. They're good friends. They yell at each other. They tease each other. They make fun of each other, but they've got each other's backs. I mean, you can even see it a little bit in what Peter's saying here, where he's like, you guys should have your own show. And he's like, why would we need that? We have our own paper. So it was and then, he's got good relationships with everybody. But the catalyst to all of this, oh, this was also cool. In this continuity, Matt is actually a full-blown Catholic priest this time around, rather than a lawyer or Daredevil. But, so, where do I want to start here? Obviously, so the plot of the story is Peter is, we're introduced to Peter. We see his life. In the very brief time we see him, he goes to a memorial service for the victims of a laser attack from the Maker that, like, blew up New York, and Aunt May was a part of it. So he goes to that. And then when he goes back to work after the service, he discovers that the paper has been bought by a new owner, and they're, they want to shut down a lot of their crime critical reporting because the owner is none other than Kingpin, right? Which is pretty cool. Like, this is, like, really grounding everything again. This is the sort of small scale stuff a lot of fans, myself included, have been clamoring for. But, and then you get, like, I love this moment where Ben is just like, all right, what are we going to do now? Like, just goes with Jonah. Like, it's really, so that, and then Kingpin's car blows up from the new Goblin. This is the only real tease we get of this new Goblin. They're obviously teasing it's Harry. We don't know where it's going to go. But I just want to make a quick note on his design. It's fine, but I'm not a fan of this, like, duck bill face mask. I genuinely think they should have gone with, like, something like the mask from Raimi, where it's like an evil mouth, like the samurai used to do on their masks. Something like that would have been, like, the perfect, like, pop to this suit. Otherwise, not a lot to say. It's a modern Goblin, right? But it is in, let's see. So this is just a, all right. So let me think. How do I say this? So the catalyst to the problem of the story is that Peter has been feeling like something's off. He's been feeling unfulfilled. Obviously, he's, so he goes to Uncle Ben and he says, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need help. And Uncle Ben tells him, like, you've got to do what you got to do. Like, wake up if you need to. And he goes to MJ and he's telling her, like, I feel, like, unsatisfied in life. Like, something's missing. I need to do something. And guys, this is one of the best fucking depictions of, like, a healthy couple and how they work through problems that I have ever seen. And it makes me so happy because we don't see this. And I would love for this to be more of a framework for people to look at for relationships in media than your typical, oh, we got a misunderstanding over a text message, we're breaking up. And so essentially what happens is that Peter goes to her, she notices one in the morning, or here, we'll go back. This morning, in the morning when she's talking to him, she notices, like, you're a little rough around the edges, what's going on? And before he goes to work, she asks him, you want to talk about it? And he says, yes, I do. But right now I gotta run. I promised I'd head into the office, but, like, yes, we will talk about it later. Eventually, everything goes by, da-da-da-da-da-da. We get to it, and so they start talking. And Peter starts telling MJ, like, I'm not satisfied. I don't know what's going on. Like, I just feel like we need a change, right? And I like, it's just a great exchange. Peter has the, I don't want to say something and then not be able to take it back. It's not how any of this works. Like, it's very clearly a couple who's working together to try and solve what's going on with one of them. And, he's direct out there. MJ, I need to change. And then, like, right here, she recognizes, like, oh yeah, there's always been something about you. Like, you've been walking around for years with this cloud hanging over you. You put a good face on it, but you're not satisfied with who you are. So she encourages him and like tells him what to do. But then there's also this point right here where she says, "Are things going to change between us?" And he goes, "Never." Right? Like in any other story, this is that moment where they don't talk clearly and the wife goes, "Oh my gosh, he's leaving me, I didn't know," and the husband is like, "I never wanted to leave her, this was all for her." But look, a healthy, happy couple actually communicating about their problems. Like, this is insane to me. Like, this is what I've wanted to see, not just from media, but like Peter in specific. Like, he absolutely deserves all of this. Like, it's so great. And you know, it's revealed that the reason he feels, or like he's been sort of unsatisfied all his life, but the reason he's bringing it up now is because the day before, Teen Tony delivered him essentially a suit and the spider, and basically said, if you want, like, we're trying to rebuild the universe, this is who you're supposed to be. If you want it, it's yours. Come join us. And Peter, obviously, I want it, allows the spider to bite him, and boom, we are back in spider territory. And that's where the first issue ends. Now, I'm sure you guys can hear like the smile, the excitement in my voice. I'm so happy to just see a genuine human Peter written again, who isn't just getting shit on for the sake of shitting on him out of some sense of, we got to make him relatable to everybody. Like, not only is he allowed to thrive, but we also get to see who he is as a person, which is, you know, he's unsatisfied with life because Peter knows he wants to help people. He needs to be out there. That's always been the core. You know, Spider-Man isn't a moniker as much as Marvel wants to tell you it is. It's Peter. Peter is that heart that makes Spider-Man endearing, that makes it to everybody. And seeing him finally act like an adult in an adult situation and deal with his problems healthily, and have support from MJ and this great and Uncle Ben and Jonah. It's just everything that's going in here. Yeah, like Timon said, it's like a what if. It's like a what if story, but it's good. I walked away from this issue with my jaw like agape at just how well it was written, how well it actually understands who the character of Peter Parker is. You know, Peter Parker is not just Spider-Man. Like, he's Peter Parker as well. Like, he has a personality, a life. And I am in awe of the fact, you know, credit where credit is due. This was a good issue, and I'm genuinely excited to read another Spider-Man comic, and a modern era Spider-Man comic at that. Like, I was going through this issue, every page turn was like, what are they going to do? How are they going to stab me in the heart? How are they going to fuck this up? You know, it starts early with that shot of Peter putting on his wedding ring. I saw that and I was like, no, are they going to be like marital problems? Like, don't do this to me, like, please. And then, you know, I saw them bring back Uncle Ben, and I was just like, oh no, what are we going to do here with this? But then as everything kept going, it never made that turn. And that, like, it bought enough, you know, it bought my trust for a second issue. I'm so excited for this. Yes, Shinkai says, or no, not Shinkai, even though hey, Shinkai, if you're still around, but I meant to say, Timon says, 30 years too late, sadly. And I agree, like, this is 30 years too late. Like, but at least it's something. Like, or let me rephrase that. They're finally making an effort, and it's a genuine one. At least Hickman is. I'm not, you know, oh, and to that point, let's look at this right here. Look at that. Look at that. No Nick Spencer or Nick Lowe. The Spider editorial team does not have their hands on this shit. This is the actual mainline Marvel editorial team with Will Moss and Marchese, Michelle. Like, they are actually going, all right, everybody, this is what you want. Here you go. Like, here's what you've wanted. We're giving you that good Spider-Man story. And like Hickman, there's some stuff he's written that I don't like, a lot of the Krakoa X-Men stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I do like from him. So he's one of those writers where the enjoyment of his story is literally based on the quality of the actual story, and not like, what does he inject into it? What is he trying to say with all of it? Because he doesn't really take those sort of swings. So, you know, he's much more focused on like the sci-fi, like outside of time and space, dominions and all that sort of stuff. I'm excited. I'm in for this. I won't deny it. And maybe it is the fact that I've just been starving for a good Spider-Man story forever. Or maybe it's the fact that this is genuinely good. Like, I'm not sure yet. We have to keep reading, but I'm in to keep reading. And also, like, the art looks amazing. Like, MJ looks fantastic. Peter looks fantastic. The kids look like actual kids. They're putting their best foot forward here. This isn't a drop a quick movie tie-in 4-issue miniseries and then we'll bounce. Obviously, this could still easily go fast to shit, depending on what they do with it. We're only 1 issue in, but I'm along for the ride. I'm going to be in for this ride. Obviously, if it goes sour, you will all hear about it. It will be a very violently angry, or not violently, but like I will be very angry during that stream. Buckle up. But yeah, if you I know Tehillim already checked out he already bought his copy of the book. If you haven't yet, if you are looking for anything good spider related, check this out. I know that Timon said he's not really interested yet, might check it out maybe later, which is completely fair. And that's like, to me, that is a big sell just on its own. The fact that a fan like Timon, who is very, unlike me, is very much like, fuck it, I'm out, fuck you, I'm done. I would normally expect Timon, like, go back and watch all our old streams. Whenever Timon and I talk about the Amazing Spider-Man runs, it's nope, bad, awful, get him out, bye Zeb, bye. But here we have Timon at least going like, it's not bad, 30 years too late, maybe I'll check it out. That alone shows like that should be a sell for this book. But yeah, definitely, if you're not sold yet, I highly recommend waiting for the trades, mostly because as I've grown older, I've also just become more of a fan of the trade format over single issues, because single issues are filled with ads and they have weird breaks and just, I don't know, it disrupts the story to me. But if I have the trade, it's just the entire thing front to back and it right there. I don't know. I like trades. That's all I'm saying. But yes, check out Ultimate Spider-Man 1. This is the sort of stuff we should be supporting if we want to send a signal that this is the sort of stuff we want, right? All right. Zero says the reason I'm with the reason I'm a foot behind on this is that this is not 616 Peter. 616 Peter is still, well, right, exactly. Like, I don't have any hope for 616 Peter. And I am actually still, like, as much as I've praised this issue and Hickman's writing and everything and the whole Ultimate reboot, I am still I am upset that this isn't being done to 616 Pete. However, I have to, if we're looking at it from a sense of like, this is the hand we were dealt with, we have to, play it. I'm pretty happy with this hand. It's not the best hand. It's not 5 aces, right? But it's 4. It's 3 aces. It's a good hand nonetheless. And I know I said 5 as a joke, guys. I know it's only 4. It's supposed to be like cheating. Duh. And that is exactly what my feeling is, Zero. I'm just gonna get to a better image for us to hang on and then I'll get to it. Yeah, Zero right here says, to me, this is a way for Marvel to avoid taking responsibility for what they're doing to 616 Peter. Absolutely. I do not get me wrong. I definitely agree with that. I think that's the sentiment here. I think it's their dick way of going, oh, you want married Spider-Man? Well, he's over here in this alternate universe. I definitely think there is a lot of that. But I also, not, probably admittedly a little too naively, I also am optimistic that if people see, oh, everybody loves this book, we're actually getting good press for the first time in 20 years off of this book, and this book continues shitting the bed, maybe something will happen. I don't know. Obviously, it's not as guaranteed as it once was, given everything we've seen out of the entertainment industry and everybody failing upwards. But I don't know what else to do, right? I want to see good Spider-Man again, so I gotta at least promote the good Spider-Man stuff I see. Tehillim says, so they have captured Peter Parker being his Bruce Wayne before Batman in Peter's case. Wait. So they have captured Peter Parker being his... I'm not entirely sure what the setup. Nobody's captured Pete. So basically, the maker just made sure Pete didn't become Spider-Man. He just said, "Oh, don't get bit by that spider. Watch out there. It's very dangerous in here." And then that was it. And so then Peter grew up, and then yeah, now they're doing it like he's 35 or 40, whatever he is, and now he's becoming Spider-Man. Okay, Shinkai. Still. No! God, I hit a button. I must have hit a button. Uh Damn it. I don't even uh Okay, thank you, Shinkai. I got muted in the middle of reading your message. So, yeah, all I was saying when I read your message was that yeah, I just called out your name because I wanted to make sure, like, because I said your name by accident, and I just want to give you a shout out because you're a friend. But what I was ranting about there for a second is that no, Tehillim, you're forced to stay with this time. You get me forever. Which is what I was saying to Tehillim is that so Nick Spencer's run is very weird because its storytelling is very weak. It has a very bland story. The whole stuff with Harry trying to become, or Harry being like an otherworldly demonic sin eater type person, just a little out there, a little weird. But I do give that run props for the fact that Nick Spencer, throughout all of it, was actually trying to set up Peter and MJ as a couple again. They were trying to get back together. They were trying to do it. The last issue of his run ends with them basically saying, like, let's try again, Tiger. Like, we're doing this. Then you get Nick Spencer. And that's literally where this latest round of bullshit begins. Like, you had Dan Slott, and he screwed up everything. And then you got Nick Spencer, who had to pick up the pieces and did what he could. Again, like, it wasn't optimal what he got handed, but, you know, he did what he could, and he tried to give the fans what they wanted. Then you got Wells, where everything just, they tripled down on it being awful. With Wells, that's where you get Ben being Chasm, MJ and Peter being broken up again, Genocide Paul, the spider who laughs. The only good thing about those books is Patrick Gleason's art, because at least personally, I think Patrick Gleason is a fantastic spider artist. But aside from that, there's no fun reason, no enjoyable reason to pick up those books. If you want to read Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run, you will only enjoy it if you were going in being like, I want to learn how not to do something. We need to tackle this. And then yes, exactly, Timon. The Timon meh seal of approval. That's a pretty good seal of approval. Let's be real. Like I was saying, it's better than just nope, we're out of here. And then yeah, I have no idea how I got muted there. I must have hit a button of some sort. But all right, that's Ultimate Spider-Man. Bottom line, I'm pretty excited. I'm personally excited. And it's a weird feeling because I haven't felt excited for a Spider-Man story in years, like literal years. So, no, I take that back. I was excited when they brought Ben back. I was excited for that development. And then they screwed him over with Chasm, and I got way mad. But, yeah, exactly. Yeah, to Hillam. Patrick Gleason is also a co-writer, creator of the Super Sons. Yeah, Gleason rules. I love all of his Super Son stuff. His art in those Super Sons book was like half the sell of it. It did that fine line between like cartoony but also comic book realistic. I don't know. It's great. All the Super Son stuff is pretty great. And then is that Robinson of Batman one? Is that the one now? Or I feel like I read that one, but Damien's gotten like 9 different series in the last like 4 years, so I've lost track of all of them. But it's a weird feeling. Check out Ultimate Spider-Man #1 if you want a good Spider-Man book. I wouldn't be recommending it to you guys if I didn't personally, love it this much. So, yes, the web swinger, at least partially, looks like he's back. Let's see how it develops, but right now, for the first time in a long time, I'm optimistic. That's all I can. I don't have hope, but I'm optimistic. But with that, we are winding down. We are close. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to break down the Halo trailer this week, or do you think we should save that for next week? Either way, I'll vamp for a second. You guys can let me know your opinions. I'm cool either way. I just know that a lot of other people have things to do. But, that's cool. I didn't know that he follows you on Twitter. I don't think any really cool comic book creators follow me on Twitter. I think Doug Ernst does, which is pretty cool, of Iconic Comics. That's pretty cool. And then I think my favorite, like, exciting follow is Chris Ferguson. If anybody knows who that is, he is probably the most prominent, like, video game social, what's that word? Like, the social effects, of video games type of person. He does all the studies that disprove, like the misogyny accusations, yada, yada, yada. He's great. I recommend following him. I cover his work all the time. He is fantastic. Tomasi follows you too. Dude, you got both of them. Oh, yeah. And, so these are the other 2 Ultimate books coming out, which are Ultimate Black Panther #1 and then Ultimate X-Men #1. I don't really care about the Black Panther story. It just feels like another Black Panther story from all they've written about it. Whatever. But I'm very excited for this Ultimate X-Men because it's a Peach Momoko story, and Peach is I would make the argument that Peach is the hands down best talent Marvel has working right now, because she's a great writer, she's a great artist, and everything she delivers is just absolute quality at all times. Yeah, really thankful for the Super Sons runs. Yeah, they're really good comics. I'm just so mad that the aging up of, like, Bendis got there and he had to age up John Kent, and that's where we went, right? Like, that's where we are now. And I'm just gonna take this really quick, like, thing just because Tehillam's here, and I know, like, he might be the only person who knows what I'm talking about. But they recently gave John and I think it was only temporary, but he got Superman's electric powers from the 90s, like the red lightning and the blue lightning. And that made me mad for some reason, because I actually really like those costumes and that storyline. And it just felt like giving a member berry to a character to force you to like them. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I wasn't really about all that. But, all right. So, no real responses for a Halo trailer breakdown. Let's definitely save that for next week. It'll be a good way to start off the show. It'll give us something to get our juices flowing. I know that a lot of I'm holding up a bunch of people. So before we wrap up here, obviously I want to say, thank you to absolutely every single person who tuned in tonight. This was, I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy we got to talk. I'm so glad that, we can have these Fridays to just really dig deep into some of these topics, you know, whether it's Suicide Squad, Capcom, Ultimate Spider-Man, or anything in between. You know, Fridays are the best, and you guys are 80% of the reason for that. With that said, obviously, if you guys want to see more of me, like I said earlier in the show, you can follow me on Twitter at KaboodleWriterMav, where I'm generally retweeting just dumb comic book, anime, manga stuff. You can also, obviously, if you're here, hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the bell, all that fun stuff. If you want to see more of me live, obviously, you can catch me next Wednesday on the Bounding Into Comics 01 stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where I'll be joined by Jacob and Cider, and hopefully Josh, if he's feeling better, to break down the week's biggest pop culture news. If you want to see, and then obviously, same Mav time, same Mav channel right here next week for another episode of The Good, the Mav, the Ugly. As always, the topics, you know, they come to us throughout the week, so we have no idea what we're going to talk about. We won't know until we get there. And with that, as always, we have a very thematic, a very appropriate, in honor of Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3, number 1. Tonight's, what am I trying to say here? Your last call for last minute news tonight. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to pay tribute to this incredible new comic book that actually came out and actually has us excited to read it. So, let's take a look.
It's too late. Falling apart too.
What?
We'll get help.
Oh my gosh. No! I know what's happening. Hold on a second. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Isn't this awesome? I totally screwed that up. Here, now, why don't you look at my ugly mug while I fix this? Do-do-do-do-do-do. It, like, just doesn't want to work. Okay. What the Shrek? It was a really good one, too. I made an effort. I tried it all. And for some reason, it just doesn't want to... Oh,
well,
I think it is playing now. So, let's try that one more time in honor of Peter and MJ being back together and Spider-Man actually being on a proper course. Let's check this out.
No! Mary Jane! No!
It's too late. I'm falling apart too.
We'll get help. Warren! Warren, where the blazes are you?
Forget it, Tiger. He's gone. Oh, dear. Before I go, I want you to know just one thing. If any part of me is anything like the real Mary Jane Watson, she loves Peter Parker more than anything in the world. More than anything.
No! Mary Jane! Mary Jane!
Brutal. But yeah, if you guys don't remember that scene, that is Spider-Man the Animated Series. It is a water clone of MJ is revealed to be a clone. She fades away, and we reveal that, honestly, the one true pairing in all of entertainment, Peter Parker and Mary Jane. And with that, guys, I will talk to you all very, very, very soon. If not, you know, sooner than that. Take it easy, everyone.